Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bowtie Movie Lounge. I'm your host, Jacob Strupek. To my left, I have Caedmon Hughes.
Hello.
And to my right, Claire Bertrand, joining us again.
Hey, guys.
She joined me on the Goonies podcast, which was a great one.
It was.
And then, Caedmon, you're going to make this one a great one as well.
I hope so.
This is your nice, big...
My debut.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Well, today we are talking about Babylon, the new film that's still in theaters as we're doing the podcast now. Was released December 23rd of 2022. Well, the last great movies of 2022. The film stars Margot Robbie, Diego Calva, Brad Pitt, and Lee Jun Lee, along with many, many others. It's got a pretty stacked cast. I mean, you cannot compete with that one.
Yeah.
Out of all the great movies that came out 2022. With a $78 million budget and making $14 million so far. So not so, didn't make what it
Which
used.
that was actually one of my questions, is why did it lose? And it's still in the box office.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
But why did it lose so much money? And the only thing I could come up with, honestly, is advertisement. Because when you sent me this, I had no clue what this movie was.
Really?
I actually did not see anything on it. I was like,
Really?
Babylon, what is this? I thought it was going to be like a
Huh.
religious movie, and I watched the trailer, and I was like, that's definitely not religious.
Definitely not a religious movie at all.
I did see it on TikTok a little bit, but it was
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I saw it on TikTok.
See, and I'm never on TikTok, so didn't see it there.
it was like just some random person talking about the movie, and he was saying it was more of like a conspiracy thing where
Oh, really?
he was saying they were exposing Hollywood and the cabal and stuff like that, which I mean, that's on par for TikTok, but
Yeah.
I didn't really get that vibe from the movie. I saw it more of as like a love letter to Hollywood.
Yeah. I saw it as the same thing. But yeah, I guess the advertisement,
Yeah.
it really didn't cut it.
Maybe the runtime too. It did go on for a while.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Really long.
3 hours, which, there's been a lot of 3-hour movies this past year.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about the fourth major film by Damien Chazelle.
Hmm.
So I'm excited to talk about this.
Me too.
And so I hope everyone listening or watching, are in for a real treat. So please sit back and relax. You got the Bowtie Movie Lounge. All right, it's showtime, everybody. This is, well, like we said before, 3-hour movie. Pretty
Very
long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of... I will describe this as a beautiful mess of a movie.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's a very good way to describe it.
Yeah. I mean, Caedmon and I watched it together, and you can attest to this, where, like, we were leaving, I was like, I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah. No,
You know?
I was the same way. Because I was looking at the length. Like, when I first went to watch it, I was like, oh my God, like 3 hours. And watching it, like, a part of me was like, there could be so many things taken out, and you still get the storyline. But then again, that adds to the beautiful mess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's hard because part of me wanted the movie to be a little shorter. I feel like it's easier to watch if it's a little bit shorter
Yeah.
and you still get the same
Mhm.
things. But like, just all those layers of just chaos makes this
Yeah.
movie what it is.
Yeah.
It really plays and knows how to, and I think we can all thank Chazelle for this,
Mhm.
is like, he knows how to really play with emotions and evoke almost more of like a nostalgia.
Mhm.
At least for me. I think we'll start off with using a comparison of Boogie Nights. That's what Caedmon and I mentioned when we were discussing it. It's a little bit like Boogie Nights, and I kind of see it as almost like the same type of love letter as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
Yeah.
is.
Mhm.
And so like I kind of look at those two. There's even like a lot of shot for shot parallels of both. But Caedmon, what do you think about the comparison to Boogie Nights and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I mean, like I was saying earlier, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a love letter to Hollywood, and I think
Right.
that this movie does the same thing.
It does the same thing, but in a different way too.
Yeah.
It's almost like expressing its love and like the ecstasy that Hollywood can bring to individuals, while also showing like much darker side to it.
Yeah.
That's what this.
Which was going to be my question for y'all. What exactly do you mean by love letter? Because, yes, I saw lots of love in this movie, but then I saw a lot of hate, a lot of darkness. It almost was like a toxic type relationship, you know?
Almost like a toxic, almost not hate letter, but more of just like a, hey, you messed with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how you affected me. This is what it was like in the 20s mainly, because like in the 20s, apparently it was crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
they were in the roaring 20s. It was in the roaring
And
20s.
you'd think that in the 20s it would be more like conservative.
Oh,
and-
heck
Yeah.
no. They just like us to think that.
Right.
No.
Yeah. It was definitely from watching
That was like the
this,
party age.
right.
I mean,
Roaring 20s.
are we going back into it with, I mean, I haven't really seen a whole lot of it, within the 20s that we're within now. I mean, maybe we're just getting started. Oh,
Right.
We'll see. We'll
Maybe.
see. Also, I should probably, if you're watching or listening with kids around, this is going to be a heavily mature theme.
Yes.
Because it's if you have not seen the movie, it's a very mature movie. And I did not expect it as much when I was going in.
Me neither. I was like, Jacob, what do you have me watching?
Yeah.
Like the first couple of scenes, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, just like you could probably wind up streaming it from Pornhub, basically, because that's just
Yeah.
like that's the comparison with Boogie Nights.
Okay.
Just warning you there. When you watch it, you're gonna be asking yourself the same question: what am I watching here? I'm just watching
Yeah.
something from Pornhub. But no, I mean that's what the opening of the movie is. Basically, this massive orgy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lots of titties.
lots of titties.
Lots of butts.
Lots of titties, ass, and even like you have a guy with
Lots of
dwarfism.
intercourse.
Oh yeah, you even show it. It's like what in
Oh,
the
yeah.
world is all up in your face.
Yeah.
It's just like supposed to give you this feeling of like anxiety and just this rush of like what is happening and like confusion.
Yeah.
Everything's happening too fast. It's a drug fueled party and almost makes you feel like you yourself are on drugs.
Yeah.
It's a movie
It
that
was
can
very
somehow do that.
overwhelming. Like, and I've been there before at a party where you just sit back and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
is going on? It gave me that sort of feeling. I mean, never to anything of that a degree,
Yeah.
but like it was that same like, wait, what's going on?
It's like I don't feel like I'm in with the party almost. But I mean, what would you get like from that? I remember looking over to you like when we were watching it, just kind of like,
Yeah. It was a crazy opening scene. It just portrayed like just pure ecstasy.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, how was it a love letter to Hollywood?
hmm
I think it's the aesthetic and like just this feeling of pure ecstasy.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can get that.
Because I mean, I'm with you're also in the industry too. I'm like in the industry and working on all these different sets and stuff, and you kind of like feel like a little bit of this like excitement. You're like I'm
Mhm.
around all this magic that's happening, this history being made basically.
Yeah,
So you feel a little bit of that, and then there are times where it's like, oh, so this is like the magic almost.
see, that's where I was with this movie. To me, it wasn't a love letter. It was demystifying
Yeah.
Hollywood. It was demystifying fame.
Mhm.
Like it's really all not that magical when you get close to it. And I've in the industry before. Those just late nights and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like everyone calls a movie magic, but like sometimes it can just be hell. And
Yeah.
that's what I took from this
Yeah.
movie.
It's almost like you have to go through hell to get to heaven,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
scene with the when they were just introducing sound.
Yeah.
Nellie
Mhm.
was trying to make it on the mark and get the sound right.
Yeah.
Just like how many takes it took.
And
like,
everyone
the
getting
director's
so
anger.
aggravated. Yeah.
And I've been okay.
I've been in that situation.
I will say
Sure,
that
that's
is
hectic.
almost. I'm not gonna downplay sound. It's a big and the people who do that, all the boom ops.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, I'm in there where I'm being told like we need to find this sound, like this clicking. Oh, it's
Mhm.
just this person's pin, and it's like this person's not wearing the right shoes, walking, the door keep opening. Like I've seen that happen so many times, and it's very realistic.
Yes. And I've also seen so many directors just lose it.
Yeah,
Like straight up lose it over these smallest things. But it's aggravating. Even though those things are small, like it truly is aggravating having to do that over and over and over
Yeah.
again. So all of that was just very real for me. And that's why I was like, demystify. Like
Yeah.
I really connect with that.
I've seen a little bit of everything that happened in that first scene, except for obviously the part where the cameraman dies.
Yeah.
But
Haven't
yeah,
seen that one yet.
haven't seen that.
Seen someone
Well, haven't
pass out and
haven't
hit
seen
their
that one.
head,
I hope
but
not to. Knock on wood.
yeah.
I'll knock on my little wood
Here, wait.
pencil. There you go. Here's my
Wait,
wood
it's close
pencil.
enough to wood. Ah, there we go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
they weren't very big on safety back then.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I know that first scene with the silent film when they were like doing
Yeah.
the war and all that. I was like, Jesus,
Yeah.
like
Got all the junkies from
nowadays.
Skid Row.
Yeah,
Oh my
it was
God.
that was hilarious, and like just the way they all looked like the show. It's like they just got them from the street.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, hey, you just want to be in this movie? We don't care what happens. Y'all just make this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, what in the world is happening? I don't know. I love it. I do have some opening thoughts. Well, first, what are your personal thoughts? Caedmon, we'll start with you. Like, what was your personal thought overall with the movie?
Overall, I thought it was a good movie. It ran a little bit too long, and I thought it was a little bit incohesive,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit choppy in some areas, which is strange given how long it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel like they could have tied it all together, made it more fluid.
that's true.
My expectations were set pretty high, given Chazelle's other work. I
Mhm.
mean, Whiplash, La La Land.
Love those.
Given that, I think it didn't play out how I expected.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it was great.
Yeah, I like it. Claire?
Yeah. That honestly sums up a lot of what I had to say too, because I went into this not knowing what it was at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I was definitely surprised by the length, and I kept finding myself same thing with the choppiness. I'm like, why do we even really need that? Like that doesn't even necessarily tie into it. Altogether, like I think it was a mess, but not
Yeah.
necessarily in a bad way. I think it was meant to be a mess. And I think it hits at a solid good. Like it was a good movie. It wasn't great, wasn't bad, but like it's a good movie. I
Yeah.
do wish it was a little shorter. But like I love the mess because in reality that's how it is. That's
Yeah.
what life is. It's just a huge mess. And I think they portrayed that really well. Yeah, we might not have necessarily need that scene, but it just really adds to the chaos of things and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'd say mine is pretty spot on with exactly what y'all
Mhm.
have. I wrote down like I just it's somewhere between a train wreck of a movie and perfectly executed narrative of making as an eternal collaborative art form.
Mhm.
Like I said, I think it's a beautiful mess.
It is.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's a
thinking.
That's a
very
good,
good way to sum it up.
that's a good, I feel like a good summary of like where I can put all my thoughts into about
Mhm.
the film. And I don't know, I would say it's a good movie. Wouldn't say it's a bad movie, but I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie, which is
Yeah,
I was really
That's
hoping
exactly
for.
where I am. I'm good. Like it was nice. It was entertaining.
Yeah. And I do remember when the trailer came out. I was
Mhm.
working on I was on a film set and I remember like it popped up, IMDb like new trailer for Babylon by Damien
Mhm.
Chazelle. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I have to watch this." So like I went and hid in a corner. I even called on channel 1 of like, where there's everyone. I was like, "Guys, Babylon trailer is out by Damien Chazelle." And I got a few responses, so it was nice. But even watching that trailer, it actually summed up exactly what this was, just a
Mhm.
big mess, which we'll talk about it a little more as time goes on, but it's all scattered, but it's collected in the end.
It is.
Like I don't know if y'all feel like that too, where it's
I
all
feel
just kind of
that.
collected and shown like this is what this mess means. That's how I felt about it. But I do have some opening questions. What's your favorite love letter to old Hollywood and the film industry? Claire, we'll start with you.
My favorite love letter to old Hollywood in the film industry?
Well, you like you said, you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in
Yeah, I
Hollywood.
haven't.
It was kind of like that's kind of what this was built off of.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's
I
that.
don't
There's
know if
Singing
I'm
in the
the
Rain.
best person to ask, considering I haven't seen some of those films. Singing in the Rain, yeah, that I
Yeah.
did love how they incorporated that.
I liked how it was
I really
perfect.
like that. Like I will say, I didn't know where this movie was going on. I guess I might have to see that.
Okay.
But when they had that at the very end,
Yeah.
and I just know he had worked with that song, "Singing in the Rain" before, but then seeing that, I don't know, and him just being so emotional, I really did like that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. So yeah, I guess I actually will have to go with that. Because that made me like really happy. And like most of this movie, I was confused and like
Mm-hmm.
laughing and stuff like that. But that actually touched me a little bit
Yeah, that one,
to
that
just see
especially
all
that
those
part.
smiles, like that certain part. So yeah, I'll go with that.
There, but you did see La La Land though, right?
Yes, I did see La La Land.
That's I've heard it described as that's Chazelle's love letter,
Uh-huh.
and this is like his. I want to say it was described as his poison letter.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
it's like a slow kill almost, so
Mhm.
just kind of exposing it. But what there's also La La Land as
Which La La Land, I haven't seen it in a long,
one of my
it's been a
favorites.
while. But La La Land, it did like make me like really like happy, and it was that magic, but it was too long for me. It
Yeah.
was a little too long. Which when I saw that he directed that and this, I was like, that is interesting. As
Mm-hmm.
all these long movies, which I don't know about Whiplash. I've never seen Whiplash.
Great.
So
You do need to check that one out.
I know there's so many.
I like it
movies
more
I
than
need
La
to
La
check out.
Land.
Wait,
To be
really?
honest, yeah.
Really?
Loved it.
Okay, well that's actually one of my next questions. But what's your favorite? La La Land. We'll just use Singing in the Rain. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then this one. Like, what's your favorite like love letter to Hollywood?
Like in the movie?
No, just like within like what's your favorite movie that's like a
Okay.
love letter?
I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Me too.
I mean, it had mixed reviews, same as this movie,
Yeah,
but I thought it was phenomenal.
I'll say that is probably my favorite love letter.
Yeah.
The one that makes the most sense. But yeah, I'd say that one is my favorite like love letter
Yeah.
to Hollywood.
You know, it's a fun fact. Brad Pitt, his character was actually supposed to be played by Leonardo DiCaprio,
Oh
I
yeah.
could see
which
it.
is weird because in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio were in the movie.
Yeah, they actually read the script.
Yeah.
Both of them read the script on the set
On
of
the
Once
set.
Upon a
That's
Time in
cool.
Hollywood, which was released in 2019. Yeah.
I feel so left
So-
out.
But yeah, no, I will say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my favorite. The next question is where. So out of all the Chazelle movies that you've seen, where does this one fall? For you in the criterion. Kevin, you got yours?
Well, I've only seen Whiplash, La La Land, and Babylon.
I was about to say I've
Yeah,
only
those
seen
are the
La
only-
La Land and Babylon.
Those are the only three that I've seen. I've
But
not seen First Man. I've
if-
heard it's kind of like, it's good to watch. It's got good effects. It's just it's not that same creativity as all the others.
Yeah. I don't really remember La La Land too
Really?
much.
I know, like I've only seen it that one time, but I don't know, just me as a dancer and stuff, like there was so much dancing and choreo in it, I would have to put La La Land at first.
Okay.
Um
And then,
and then
And then
Babylon.
Babylon.
Yeah.
but you'd say like maybe Whiplash, La La Land, and Babylon.
Yeah.
I'd say about the same, but like it's close there with La La Land and Whiplash because Whiplash is just such an iconic.
Phenomenal.
That's his first movie that he
Maybe-
started off with.
Yeah, maybe I relate with it just because I'm a musician myself,
Right.
but I just think the passion that was put into it, like
Yeah.
with music, was great.
The passion was very different than it was with La La Land, but La La Land,
It's
that
just
La La
so
Land
magical, I feel like.
it holds
like
a
it
very
just makes me
exactly.
smile.
holds a very special part in my heart. A special place, and it's hard to tell. Like I'd very close, but Babylon easily falls last
Mhm.
with those. But we'll get into that, which reminds me that's the movie we're talking about. So
Yes.
I keep forgetting we're
I
talking
do
about
have
Babylon.
one more opening question. If you
Yeah,
go
yeah.
with your questions, I love to hear y'all's take on why this is called Babylon.
Ooh.
Okay.
I have one if you want to keep thinking.
Okay.
I was listening to two podcasts yesterday.
Mhm.
One had some commentary with Chazelle. Actually,
Mhm.
there's a podcast where he talks about the making and why. Didn't really elaborate a whole lot on like why it's called Babylon,
Mhm.
but my thought is the city of Babylon within within
Yeah,
the Bible.
within
It's
the Bible.
like it's just where everything happened. Like that's
Mhm.
just where the first great city.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like Hollywood. It's like
Mhm.
this is where everything happened. That's
Yeah,
it's like it's where things for movies really started.
yeah. Do you have anything, Caedmon?
So here's the thing. Babylon was it the city that they marched around
No, that's
That's the one
Okay,
where
Babylon
they
was the one where
built
they
the
built it
tower.
all the way up.
Yeah.
No,
I think it
that's the
ties.
Tower
I
of
think
Babel.
okay. I think it ties in with the actors, like building all the way up in their careers, only to fade into obscurity
Right.
when
That's
it
good.
falls.
That's
Huh.
good.
That is good.
Yeah, my take on it was if you look at the story of Babylon, which I'm not too familiar with all of that, but they were these people who wanted to build their city and make it a big success and build it up to the heavens. They're almost like materialistic, and that is where everything happened. But eventually God comes down and changes like their language or something like that. It mixes
Yeah.
up their language to where they can't communicate with each other, and then everything just like falls to ruin.
Yeah.
And I related that with the films, how they went from silent to talkies. So,
Mm.
like, silent films, like, it was just this huge
Oh, wow.
industry. This new language comes in, this new sound comes in. And yes, some people, get to be big, but others, like we see in the movie, start to fall, start to go
Yeah,
through
start to
things and
crumble.
stuff like that. So that's how I related it.
I like that. Those are actually really good takes.
Thank you.
That's a really good take.
Thank you.
Man, I didn't think about it like in that aspect. But no, I like it. I like it. But the synopsis of this is, I usually don't do a synopsis, as I always say, but it's just a love letter to the progression of film, specifically in the 1920s, with a transition of silent to talkies. It follows three characters: Manny Torres, Nellie, and Jack Conrad. Nellie
Nellie
Leroy.
Leroy. That's it.
Yeah.
As the industry changes drastically, the film shows the ecstasy, the chaos, and the dark side of Hollywood, specifically in the 20s.
Yep.
Just what a movie! What a movie!
So much.
I'm gonna keep saying that like through the whole thing. Like, I think this is gonna be the movie where I like finally have a little bit of like more negative to say about it.
I was
Yeah.
actually excited about that.
Yeah.
Because, we were talking about it on the last podcast that we did, trying to find something we can be cynical about.
Yeah,
And while watching it, I was like, I can be a little cynical about this. Like, I
Finally.
can find some things to be negative about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. But I mean, who wants to start? Who wants to
Excited
start?
to be mean.
Why don't you start being mean?
Okay. For me, it was the length, first of all.
The length, yeah.
The length was just like when, if it needed to be 3 hours, that's fine. But it
Right.
didn't need to be 3 hours.
No.
By any means. The story, I feel like, is very easy to follow. We've seen this story before, the downfall or just the dark side of Hollywood, stuff like that. So the fact that it took 3 hours to sort of show that within the 1920s, I was like,
Yeah.
And also there's just scenes that were just unnecessary. Like, you could
True.
still get the whole story without having some of the scenes. Don't get me wrong, I love some of those scenes, but
Yeah.
for example, one that's popping into my head is that damn snake scene.
Yeah.
Like, why was that relevant? It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was great. It was entertaining.
Oh yeah.
But, like, it wasn't relevant. And there's just so many little scenes like that that just add on to this story, and they're not really needed.
Yeah.
So that's where I was the most cynical. Just, bits that didn't need to be there. And they were choppy like that. Like, we go from the snake scene to, the movie set, and then we're back to, like, some drug dealer's house with midgets running around. Like,
Yeah.
it's just very, like, what is going on? It's sort of hard to keep up with. But you don't necessarily need to keep up with it because some of that stuff doesn't.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
it's just
true.
extra. So that's where I'm mostly cynical about. What about you?
I will say, like, yeah, there are definitely a lot of things. It's very, like you said, just very choppy, very messy. Just some of it feels irrelevant. But, like, at the same time, I kind of went into it trusting Chazelle as a storyteller, which is what we tend to do a lot
Yeah.
with directors. But, like, there were a lot of times where I was like, why do we need, like, and I will say some of the humor felt a little too off, and it was the most funny when it was almost not trying to be.
Okay. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, like in the very beginning, it opens up like this elephant just.
Shitting on that dude.
yeah.
Yeah, that made me feel uncomfortable.
I was like,
That was great. I love
I-
that.
Yeah.
Of course you did. Okay.
I could see, I
No,
could see you enjoying that.
I was so confused when watching that. I was like, this elephant is just shitting on this man. I was like, and
Yeah.
it just kept showing it, and I was like, oh god. Another thing too, y'all. This is off topic, but I was gagging when that dude ate that rat.
Yeah.
I was wearing headphones when watching it, so I just heard like the munching of the rat in my
Like-
ears. I swear to God, I was like on my couch, like about to
Yeah.
throw up, and I was just like, "Why? But
thi- I-
continue. That's off topic. Sorry.
I think I've been like, jaded to that because I've seen that happen all the time with the variety eating. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. But no, like, I just feel like the humor kind of feels a little immature sometimes. Like with I was like when I was listening to those podcasts yesterday on the movie, they were like everyone was praising the snake scene. And I was just kind of watching like a lot of what this movie consists of is a lot of people just screaming and being
Yes.
frantic and
There's
like
lots of screaming and just energy just shooting at you, and sometimes that's hard to focus on.
yeah.
When everyone's coming at you like this, it's really hard to like figure out what's going on and stick with the story. Like everyone's being extra,
Yeah.
and you always have your extra characters, but when everyone's extra, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how Hollywood kind of is.
Maybe.
Little
though.
extra.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
Even
You make
like
a good
the
point.
snake scene.
Yeah.
How y'all were saying it's over the top. It kind of reminds me of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It
with
did
the,
make me laugh though. I
Charles
was laughing
Manson
my ass off.
scene.
during
Oh
that
yeah.
How it's just so over the top.
scene.
That's true. But here's like my take on like a lot of those yelling scenes, especially like when they were introducing sound and Nellie was doing it for the first time.
Yeah.
You got the director, the AD, the sound technician, Nellie herself, and the camera guy. Everyone's yelling.
Yeah.
But a lot of it felt like it was trying to make the point of being funny. I just didn't feel like it. But like I feel like it would have done a little better if it was more to the sense of like to make you feel uncomfortable. Like you were
Yeah.
talking with Barbarian, how like that movie does so good with like making you feel unsettled. Whereas I feel like if it really focused to make the scene make you feel anxiety, I feel like it would have hit me personally a little better with that.
Mhm.
Because back to the snake scene, I thought it was funny when it just cuts and like also beautiful too, by the way,
Mhm.
where it just cuts to Brad Pitt's character just kind of standing there, just kind of like what the hell's
Like,
going
what
on,
is going
you know?
Like, is this my life?
It's like
Yeah,
he's in
it
his own
is.
mind, you know, just kind
Yeah.
of. I thought it was hilarious. Like it's just like he has nothing on his face.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was funny. Not like everyone like
Not
running-
everyone running around screaming and Snake being stuck
yeah,
to Nellie's neck.
What
Yeah.
do you guys think the snake scene meant?
just I think everyone just kind of runs around with like their head like a chicken with its head cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
For me, it shows how bored these people are. Even though they have so many
Oh.
opportunities, so much money, the best thing they could do for entertainment is go fight a rattlesnake in the desert.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it also shows like it. I mean, obviously, there's all these like macho men that won't even touch the snake. It
Yeah.
shows how fake these people can be. They act like this one person, yet once they actually get to this opportunity in real life, when they're not in front of cameras, they're all of a sudden this other person. They're not
Yeah.
being macho. They're scaredy cats. So that's what I took personally from it. And then it shows you who the strongest person there is, which isn't necessarily Nellie, but it was Lady June, who
Yeah.
took care of everything, who took care of Nellie, who was like, oh my God, this, just cuts off
Cuts
the
the
snake and
snake
does
and-
whatever. And which you see that within her character. Yeah, she's there. She's with these people, but you see she's actually a very real person throughout the movie. She's not
Yeah.
being extra. She's not being screaming. She's playing the game, and she knows
Yeah.
she's playing the game, and she knows she's on top of it. So that's what I got from that scene.
Yeah.
What about y'all?
I saw so it starts off with Nellie
Mhm.
overhearing someone in the bathroom,
yeah,
talking about her career, how it's useless and how stupid her dad is.
yeah.
I think
That's an important part.
a lot of the theme of the characters are separation of your past and separation of self. You have to kind of like kill your past, kill yourself
Yeah,
to actually have this career. So once she overheard that, she goes outside, and she tries to get her dad to fight a rattlesnake,
yeah.
which I think was a plot to kill her dad.
That's what I thought too. That's what I
That's
thought
how
at
it
first.
which is, I think
Yeah.
she thought of her dad as her past
Mm-hmm.
and what's holding her back. And I think maybe like when her dad just passes out, maybe it's almost like a suicide attempt.
Yeah. Or it's almost like an assisted suicide attempt, you
Yeah.
know, where she's trying, she's offhandedly trying to murder her own dad, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I saw at first too, you know?
Because I thought that's what was going to happen. I thought he was going to fight it and get bitten and be dead, and I thought she wanted that.
Yeah.
And then I was thrown off, when he passed out and she went for it.
Yeah. And I feel like it was almost, now I'm thinking it might be like two different sayings where, like we all thought the dad was going to fall out and then it was going to come up and just bite him since he was vulnerable.
Yeah.
But she always had this like glare when she was looking at him. Like, I really hope he gets bit.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping for this. And then at the same time, it was almost like she had to prove herself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm strong. I can do this. I can do whatever I want. I can fight a snake. So that's just how I felt about it. Overall, it felt like it was trying to express the chaos, more of the chaos, and give you more anxiety of what Hollywood, how it can be, how it can get.
Yeah.
So I don't know what y'all thought, but yeah. I was just trying to follow. But like also like we mentioned like where they go to McKay, like Jack McKay. Oh, forget his last.
Conrad.
No, not Jack Conrad. Tobey Maguire's character.
Oh yeah.
Something McKay.
It's James McKay.
James McKay. That's
James
right.
McKay. Yeah.
Whenever they go to his house, and he like. I love
Toby's character.
Yeah.
He came out
great.
full swinging.
He did it. It made me feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just the giggling that he did, like, ooh,
And his
Toby,
teeth.
stop.
His
like,
teeth.
He was originally
It got
supposed to
me.
play Charlie Chaplin in that movie.
Yeah.
But they cut that.
Yeah.
They just
Wow.
made that character.
He did great on that character. I loved it. I actually put that down in my notes for notable acting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
out swinging.
He was outstanding. But you were saying.
No, I was gonna say like, even like whenever they go down, it's just kind of like it's also over the top, kind of like this underground, this dark side of Hollywood. Like it definitely played into what it was going for, and like really well, but at the same time, it's like almost too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if did
All
you feel
of
like
that made me feel very uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
not necessarily uncomfortable in a good way. Because some movies will make you feel uncomfortable, and it's like it's a good thing. You're like, oh, that's interesting the way it makes me feel. But like that, I'm like, do we
Yeah.
see this?
I wonder
Like-
what that represents to Chazelle. Like, what was his like mindset?
Yeah.
With making
Yeah.
that?
I would like to hear that, because for me personally, I was just like, ugh. But maybe it did mean something to him, which is why he put it in it.
Well, I feel like that was his way. Like I mentioned, like I feel like that's his way of saying like there's always a dark side and an underground.
Mm-hmm.
There's always underground levels.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
levels to
They
it.
kept
levels.
going
It
down,
kept going
down,
deeper.
You
and
kept
deeper.
seeing weird shit, and then weirder shit, and then an alligator.
Yeah.
and
Exactly. But
and
then-
a man eating rats.
And then like sometimes you have to go deep, like deeper and deeper to get to like what would make it good.
Yeah.
Like it was in his mind. He's like, I have a few movie ideas myself.
Yeah.
That was my Tobey Maguire impression. I have a
Yeah.
few movie ideas myself. Would you like to hear them? Like, you gotta see him. He's great. He's great. So
I
don't
love
know.
Tobey Maguire. That's my Spider-Man.
that's my
It is
that's,
my Spider-Man.
that's
my
mine.
Spider-Man.
Mine too. I guess that's like just the one we grew up to with.
Yeah.
Grew up with too. But no, like that's just what I took, because there's obviously a lot of parallels and a lot of can't even think of the word now, but like just parallels to like and like meanings of like just different things within like the industry, especially within this movie, and it does pretty well with expressing those.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those, and like, but it just feels like there's too much chaos and too much like unruly, especially like we haven't really even touched on like the orgy scene, which I think is what.
Which one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. There even is a little bit of like an orgy in that underground, but like especially in the beginning, that's where
the beginning.
we're really laid the ground of like all the characters too. Like I will give it that. Like it definitely showed the characters really well, and like it kind of established an emotional connection to the characters. with Margot Robbie, you get, as Nellie Leroy, and then Jack Conrad, and then it really is like makes you feel for this character Manny Torres.
Yeah, I
Who-
started feeling it wasn't until later towards the end that I started really feeling for him.
Yeah,
But no, it does a great job of that. I felt for all of them, even though like I don't necessarily relate to all of them. I could still feel for them. And I
Right.
did appreciate that.
no, I just felt like I really appreciated his character.
Yeah.
I mean,
Manny
He seemed to be
Torres.
the most grounded
He
character.
was,
Yeah.
and that made my heart break. Like towards the end, like he just wanted to be part of this magic. He just wanted to be in this industry, and now he's finally in it. And like you could tell, even some of the wrongdoings he did, like the blackface and stuff like that, you could tell he's a good person. He
Yeah.
still felt bad about it, and he's still freaking out on how to help these people. Whereas so far in this movie, you don't really see that in Hollywood. Everyone's helping
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
And even though he is finally like on top of things and he's getting his money, he still really is just trying to help other people.
yeah,
And that just made my heart break because sometimes dealing with those people who only help themselves, it's not worth it.
yeah.
And we see that. And then none of those people stick with him. He's not around any of them. But yeah.
No, and I will say, like, I felt that with Jack Conrad too. Surprisingly,
Yeah. No, I felt it with Jack.
I will say, like, those are probably my two favorite characters. I love Margot Robbie. I love her character. She's just like a ball of chaos, and she does it perfectly.
Always.
Always.
It's just like she feels like an unstoppable force, and it's
Yeah.
just she did great. I love her, but
She plays a good deranged blonde.
yeah,
Harley Quinn, I Tonya.
Our favorite.
Yeah,
deranged
exactly.
blondes.
yep, we love those.
It's my wife.
I love it. But I just like she did great. She really like was the seed and like the little spark of
Mhm.
chaos and
Most
Just-
definitely.
derangedness.
Yeah.
I forget the.
You know, the,
word they use.
That part was originally supposed to go to Emma Stone.
Yeah.
But,
I was actually wondering that because
Yeah.
I know, he could work with her in La La
Yeah.
Land, and like I know she could also play that character. And while watching it, I was like, Emma Stone, Margot Robbie. I was like,
Yeah.
which?
I think Margot Robbie was the perfect pick.
Margot Robbie
Yeah.
was great. She was great. I think she's just a tiny bit crazier than Emma. So it works.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I was gonna bring up that point too. Like, I was trying to think like, couldn't Emma Stone play this? Like, yeah, she
could, but I think Margot could just do it that much better.
Yeah.
She's got a good New Jersey accent. I feel like she does it in like everything.
She does.
Everything.
That's her American accent.
That's her. That's her
New
like
Jersey.
stereotype casting.
Yeah.
Right
That's
there.
her New Jersey right there.
New Jersey.
With
And-
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Suicide
Yeah.
Squad.
It's just perfect.
Yeah.
It's always there.
That's her American accent. But no, I think Margot has more of like an uncontrollable, a lot more chaotic, more of a bad girl persona. Because like
Mhm.
Emma Stone is just so sweet. I just worked with her
she,
too.
She is so sweet.
She
and
is
she
like that.
definitely can play bad girl, but like
Yeah, easy.
Margot, yeah, that's what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Easy A. But like Margot, it just radiates. Like
Yeah.
it just radiates, and that's based off of her other characters that
Yeah.
she's played before.
Yeah.
It's like I could see Margot doing more drugs than Emma Stone.
Yes,
You
most
know?
definitely. If I was partying with both of them,
I would expect.
Margot would be the last one standing, most definitely.
Yeah,
She always plays the role of like the it girl, you know?
yeah, that
Mhm.
too. Which is like what her character is based off of.
Yeah.
The first It girl, Clara Bow.
Yeah.
Which I do like how a lot of these characters. Jack Conrad is based off of John Gilbert, who also struggled his transition into talkies.
Mhm.
He actually wound up dying at 38. He had a heart attack at 38, 1936.
Imagine having a heart attack at 30.
Yeah, which is it's real sad. Apparently his voice was too soft, too kind,
Aw.
and so it was like that thing was like, I love you. And like everyone laughing, he's watching that. It's just kind of like that was that same
part
thing.
made me so sad. I
It
felt
really
so
did.
bad.
It's like the king was dethroned. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you think about that, Caedmon?
I just think all these actors think they're immortal because
Mhm.
that's what movies are. It prolongs your image.
Yeah.
It prolongs
Mhm.
yourself because a movie is forever.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But I guess they couldn't handle the fact that you will be dethroned. You will be replaced and easily replaced.
right.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know.
Well, that's basically like what that the what was she, the publicist, whatever.
Yeah, that's what which I love that scene.
Oh, that was
Yes,
I
great.
love.
Eleanor.
I didn't get the exact quote.
I
from
wanted
it
to
because
use
I was
that
watching
quote
it.
too.
Yes, I love it. How like the house burns and you die with it, but the roaches are
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
alive.
The roaches
I
are what's always
loved
That was
that
really
entire
good.
scene. It was
Sh-
great. It was great writing.
Jean Smart. She was in a few different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like
She looked familiar.
Watchmen.
I couldn't put my hand
I
on
thought
it.
she was Helen Mirren, or first, like she was like around that, like Helen Mirren. I can't even think of the other lady from James Bond and all those movies.
Oh.
She did phenomenal,
Mm-hmm.
and
She was
that
great.
really like
It was really such like
W-
for a movie with such chaos. Sorry, for a movie with such chaos to have that reality slap, I really connected with it. So you see all this crazy stuff that's going on, and then this person who's just completely real and who was right.
yeah,
I really instantly connected with her.
right. And it's not like he just was gonna go into denial, like, nope, that's not right. Like
I think deep
think you're
down he
wrong.
knew he was just
was-
looking for an answer.
exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I loved within that scene is she was like, there's always gonna be people like me. There's always gonna be people like you. And I was thinking like, you know what? That is way too true, especially in today's world where they're like the media pretty much, she like represented the media.
Mm-hmm.
And, she was more true. And like, she was like kind of like saying this stuff for as a job. Sometimes we feel like a lot of it's just kind of like pointless nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, just like, it was just like, wow, that's true. And then he was just like accepting his fate.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
and I also
I don't think he accepted it though.
True. Ultimately.
Ultimately, he
right.
didn't accept it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say within that moment, I like that he
Yeah.
because I think deep down he knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he doesn't want to admit it. Obviously he doesn't want to accept it, but I think deep down he does. He
Mhm.
knows
Yeah.
that. So I really did appreciate that about his character because at first I thought he was going to be, like a dick about it or something.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, you're right. And then I love seeing that in the next scene when that person like called him up to be in the movie and he was like, just be real with me.
Is it gonna be shit?
Is it this? And
Is
we
am I doing this for you?
finally start to see some realness
Yeah.
within all of these Hollywood people. And I really liked that part.
Yeah. And I like whenever they're doing the interview too. Before this.
Yeah.
Where she's like, do you still drink? Like, nope. Gave that up.
Yeah.
Got in the way. It's just like, okay. He has a good like human quality to him more than just being like an actor, which it also illustrates our perception of a lot of
Mhm.
actors. We feel, and like especially with me and you, like having worked and like having been in contact, like I just worked with Emma Stone actually, and we do kind of have these from growing up and like watching
We
all
just
these.
had preconceptions.
Yeah, we're like,
of
okay,
everyone.
these people are gonna be gods. They're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna be out of touch of reality. But then
Not.
ultimately, like it's like, wow, this
They're
person.
literally just like me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're so human. I mean,
That's how I was with Zach when I
Really?
met him. Yeah, like I'm thinking he's gonna be just this and that, and like literally he's just a normal
Yeah, I
person.
felt the
just
same
like
thing.
everyone else.
like
you
Zac
know?
Efron,
Zac Efron, yeah.
But yeah, no, like there's like I've come in contact with so many like actors like that,
Mhm.
and just almost every time. But there's a few. I'm not gonna name any,
I feel like
specifics.
you've told me a story about a few.
Yeah.
But continue.
There's always some. There's always gonna be
There's
some
always some.
who are human. They're
Mhm.
gonna show their ass in a way, like kind of just like as anyone else would.
Yeah.
But like we forget that, and like that scene where he's giving the interview kind of shows like, yes, he's a human. He realizes he's decaying, and he
Yeah.
realizes he has to pick himself back up.
I think that's a big part of the theme of the movie too. Just out with the old, in with the new.
Mm-hmm.
Just a
It
vicious
is.
cycle.
I mean, that's how the movie started. It went from no talking to talkies, and then you get a new group of people, and yeah, for sure. And Hollywood is always about that. You hit a certain age, and then you're
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
And Nellie Leroy couldn't handle that. She kind of said, "Screw it." And
Yeah.
I mean, same thing with
Yeah.
Jack Conrad at the
Yeah.
very end of the movie,
Yeah.
or not the very
And I
end, but
think-
when he ended it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only character that could handle it was Manny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the end, whenever he saw Singing in the Rain, I think he realized that his work was like it put into the progress of film. Like
Yeah.
He wasn't being replaced. He was adding to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like, what the love letter of this movie is.
Okay. Yeah.
That there is a progress, like everything we do, because nowadays it feels like we're almost, not stealing, but we're so like, we're taking work that's already been done. We're taking art and we're mixing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now movies are almost just like a big mixing pot.
Yeah.
We're taking everything as like, I can't even think of the word. It's all these simple words that I'm trying to use, but just doesn't. But
Recycling.
Yeah, almost recycling. But like that's what this love letter is too, because like from the 20s, like we're still doing some of these things and we're learning as we go, and like it was like Babylon was the start. That's that time period was also the start of it.
Which is so funny because in the Bible, Genesis, the first story of the Bible, has Babylon. Babylon is not mentioned till the very end of the Bible. It is the start and it is the end.
Interesting.
It is the rise and it is the fall.
It is all
which really connects to this movie.
Man.
That is crazy. Sorry, I just made that connection as you're saying that. Because it's only mentioned in those 2 chapters, at the very beginning and at the very end.
I should have gone back to look up like Babylon, within biblical context.
Well, that's what I did before I headed here, because I'm not all too well familiar with the Bible. I get stories mixed up, but I was like, I just knew there was something there. I couldn't put my finger on it. I'm like, let me look a little bit into this, and I did remember reading that.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
That is super cool. But now, like, do you have like anything to add on like the context of like the love letter, what it is? Did you feel like that too? Like where it was like a love letter to just the progression of like where we've come out?
Yeah, most definitely. Definitely a love letter to the progression.
Yeah. All right, and I did want to touch on a subject where each character has their own vignette. It's kind of like you have the story of Manny who's trying to break into film.
Which is a lot like Margot's character, Nellie, as well.
But she does completely different.
But it's a completely different path, yeah.
It's like she just mixes right in. It's just like she's thrown in. It doesn't faze her.
She just goes with it.
And whereas
like she said, she was born a star.
Yeah, that's right. That is like
I love that. Star. That's actually one of my quotes. I loved that quote.
I'm a star.
I feel for it.
Yeah. But no, and I feel like Manny has more of a calculated.
Yeah. And you see that within his character throughout the movie. He's very calculated.
Calculated and more of like, I want to do things right. I want to do things a little more proper. Whereas she's just like, I'm going to go in balls out,
Yeah,
like,
maybe flash a nip and keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And then icing her nipples too. Just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I just feel like they do it different ways. But then also you have Jack Conrad, who I will say, I think he's like my favorite. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but I feel like he's like my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah, which is interesting because I thought I was going to hate his character at first. I don't know why. But I ended up loving his character.
I will say I was more invested into his fall. As an actor, because like we have these 2 that are starting, but he's already at the top.
He's already in it. Yeah,
but he's right now he's just kind of coasting.
Yeah,
he has a few, I guess, imperfections where he just can't keep a wife, and he's always on to the next, like just like that. Has a little like his drinking problem, but like seems like he's starting to fix those as we're going, and so you get a little more invested into his life. And then I don't know, I feel like the movie doesn't touch up on as much of Manny's progression.
Yeah.
But I feel like I like his character. I like his character, but I'm more invested into Jack's.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because with Manny's progression, you see him, at the bottom. Yeah. And then you see him at the top. Yeah. Immediately. Whereas the other characters we sort of follow.
Yeah. It was fast, but then like so was Nellie's, but that was also her character.
Yeah, she's very fast paced. Very into it. She will adapt. She will go. And
her
you see
character
that
was always one step ahead.
Yeah.
And so she was basically, she had you by the collar and was just pulling you through the story. That's
whereas Manny, you just had to listen. You'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah. You know,
Same thing with Jack. Like, wait, what's going on?
because you can always see him like standing and looking, and
hmm
he was also like, I'm just gonna do right. I'm just gonna do good.
Yeah.
See how things come. He always had a positive karma,
hmm
you know, and that's what I enjoyed watching that a
Yeah.
little. You know, I enjoyed watching that too, but just watching the tragedy of Jack's character just going down. You know, especially when he does that interview, which I love that scene.
Yeah, the interview was great.
But no, I do agree. Like, was kind of expecting a very macho,
Yeah,
some Lieutenant Aldo Rain from
Yeah.
Inglourious Bastards in it. You know,
yeah,
like just
exactly. That's exactly what I thought.
I love that movie and that character. We're gonna have to do that because you showed me that movie.
Yeah.
I love Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
Which we need to do a Tarantino movie soon.
For sure.
Please. But no, like I agree. You were expecting something different, but he,
Played a more vulnerable character.
Yeah.
you know, he played like what you're not used to seeing within like when you think of 20s, you think of like a very closed off male. This guy is, as you said, Caedmon, very vulnerable, and I really like appreciated seeing that. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I loved that take too.
Yeah.
But but then Margot's character, we don't. I feel like we've been kind of pushing her to the side a little bit. Let's
Great. She, in my opinion, has the best lines. Like,
Yes.
has some of the best personality, and it is because she's the chaos. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we say we hate chaos, but do we really? No,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's entertaining.
It's entertaining.
It keeps us invested.
That's what life is.
Exactly. And that's what her character is. She is the most entertaining. She keeps you invested. You never know what's going to happen
Yeah.
with her. And she does great with that character.
She really does. What are your opinions on Nellie Leroy?
I thought she was great. Some things that she didn't really make sense to me.
Like what? Give us an
what
example.
things?
I'd say at the end, whenever she
Just walks off.
whenever she just
I
walks
was
off.
Yeah.
a little confused by that, but then again, not confused.
Yeah.
It seems like her character just go with the wind.
Yeah.
Just go off. I did wonder what happened. I'm like, did she get
What exactly?
killed?
What exactly? How did she get killed?
Yeah,
like
did
that's
she get killed? Did she actually die? Did she
It
get shot?
okay, so it showed a clip of a newspaper at the end. and
Yeah,
it
I
said
saw that. Dies
Nellie
at like
died
34. Yeah.
yeah, found dead.
I feel like they should have expended on that,
Yeah.
considering the 3-hour runtime.
I
Yeah.
want to know what. Yeah, because the
Like, what
story
exactly
really does
happened?
revolve around her. It's 3 hours long. Like, I would like to know what happened to her.
Like what exactly happened? Maybe just a little shot. Like maybe
Yeah.
left it.
And I also wanted
equally
to know
ambiguous.
Manny's emotions about that, because here he is saying he wants to marry this girl.
Yeah.
She disappears. She's gone. She's found dead at 34. Like, we don't get to see his reaction of that. We don't get to see what he thinks, or if he ever finds out what happens. We just see him with his new wife,
Yeah.
which is okay. I'm kind of glad he got a new
Yeah.
wife,
Yeah.
because Margot would have been terrible for him.
Yeah, true. But at the same time, you never know.
You never know. But no, I did want more information on that.
Yeah. But at the same time, I love the ominous.
Yeah, no,
Aspect
it
of it.
fits with her character perfectly, because you never know what her character is going
Yeah.
to do.
She always wants to be the last of the party.
Yeah,
True.
yeah,
Which I do like that about like there's scenes at these different parties. Especially I like George.
George. I
Yeah,
loved George.
I like George, and
I
it's, like,
love
sad. He's
George.
Constantly
He
trying
seemed
to.
like the only sweet one
Yeah.
out of all of them.
Yeah, I like that actor Lucas Haas.
Okay, he's the one. He's Jack's friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That was real sad. He felt
was
that.
sad.
That was another scene.
It's weird that Jack was in denial about it. Like at the party, like the blue collar party, or not
Yeah.
blue collar, like where all those nice people were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very
And that's
Somebody
another
asked
thing.
him
the
about
very
it.
grotesque.
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
Somebody asked him about it. He was just like, "What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
holding together, all right?" It's like, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, can anyone tell me what's going on here?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. And that's because he was. It showed that he was thinking about George, but it wasn't about George.
Yeah. He's
It was
trying
about
to
his
shut it.
movie. He thought it was about George. It was really about his movie. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna be okay," and he thought they were talking about George. So like, that's another thing that touched me about his character, because here I am thinking, Macho Man, this, that, but the fact that he really cares about this character who isn't Macho Man, who's what we call nowadays a simp.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that throws you for a loop. So to see him really care for a person like that gave me more depth into his character. And to see that he still thought that George was thought they were talking about, other than the fact of his movie, that means he was thinking about someone else
Yeah.
rather than his career. That also threw me. That's what made me appreciate him more.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate when it shows his relationships with people too.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just kind of brushing everyone off. He actually is invested with everyone. He genuinely cares about
Yeah,
people.
like on the surface, you wouldn't think he cared about some sad guy who was always chasing after
Yeah.
girls. On the surface, you wouldn't think that at all, but really he does. Like, that's his
Yeah.
friend. He loves him.
Yeah, and then I do want to touch on the scene where it really shows a lot of that coming from whenever he's with Catherine Waterston.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Waterston, but his wife,
Yeah.
who was the stage actress,
Mhm.
he's like, "You people up in your ivory towers, you
Yeah.
don't understand
Yeah,
what it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
down here." That scene, he starts yelling at her. He's like, "That's not what we're making here. We're making something real. We're making something that gives people hope, makes
Mhm.
people here on the ground feel like they're up here.
Yeah.
And it shows that he actually cares about
What
the
he's
people
doing.
around
Yeah,
him.
and the people he affects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how'd that scene affect you, Caden?
I don't really know.
You don't really know? I just found that to be the most impactful scene. Did you feel that to impact you a lot?
It did impact me because I don't know, and I find that to be real too, because coming from a theater background, it really is. It's all money. The people who go to see Broadway shows, you have to have money. That stuff is so expensive. So to see that it was a different kind of crowd coming to see
Mhm.
these movies, and the fact that he actually cared about that crowd and cared about what they were doing,
Yeah.
again, just really threw me for a whirlwind, because I expected his character to be just so this, that, uptight, but like he actually does care about things. So that did affect me, but it also made me feel a little bad for his wife, because I feel
Yeah.
like she doesn't know any different, you know?
Yeah. She's just trying. She's just there. She's
Yeah,
trying
she's just there.
She looks like she's trying to help
She
out, too.
does, yeah. She's trying to help him.
Like,
but
hey, look,
poor
here,
baby.
here are my thoughts on,
Yeah.
your
Which I
your
did
script.
appreciate that, because I feel like his wives in the past, like we see what was it? Was she from Bulgaria or something?
Oh yeah, Olga. That shot
Olga,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, and like, the wife
He's like,
before,
honey, I don't
it
understand
shows
what you're
they don't
saying.
care, but she actually
love
looked like she cared about him based off of the critique she gave and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it made me feel a little bad for the wife, but also
You feel
really
for all of his
touched me.
wives.
Yeah.
Especially in the very beginning. She's like,
Oh, yeah.
with Olivia Wilde.
Stop talking Italian.
Yes, if you say one
Yeah.
more word in Italian, we're divorcing.
And he
And
says it.
He's like, all right,
Yep.
all right. Come on, and he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
she's like, that's it, get out. I love that scene.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
Here's my question though: do we think he actually cares about the current wife that he had during that scene?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think it's eighth season more of an accessory.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
how
yeah.
I felt
Accessory
like.
to his lifestyle, because
Yeah.
in the end, he really is just lonely.
Yeah,
They're all alone.
You're right.
Every single person who's an actor or who's in the business is alone.
yeah, you're right. No, I would agree with that. I feel like he looks at his wives as almost like accessories,
Mm-hmm.
and he's never truly happy too.
Because
You know?
that was one of my questions too. So I'm like,
Because
why does he keep getting married?
His
Yeah,
his fulfillment relies on his career.
Yeah,
yeah,
not his love interest.
and what he's doing for himself.
And he also never has any kids. He's had like 4 or 5 wives and never
Yeah.
any children. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't care.
Like the action is the juice.
Right.
It's like of what he's getting. But like he also still at times seems like he does care about his wives. Like.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, just like all the girls, like he seemed very genuinely interested in that one girl at the party that he wound up hooking
the
up with.
bartender, Jen.
Yeah.
I feel like that
Yeah,
showed
Jen-
how he had no
Jen-
interest in his wife. Remember he made like that comment about her, about the bartender?
Yeah. He's
And
like,
then
he's like, that
and-
girl's amazing,
It was
That
like the Asian
made
woman
me
thought it was
think-
about his wife, but he was talking about the bartender.
Yeah.
That made me think that he only shows interest into people who
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like all of his wives, I'm assuming we haven't met all the wives, but I'm assuming they're all like big shots. They're arm
Yeah.
candy, they're pretty, they're this, and then the wife we see mostly throughout the movie is this big stage actress. But finally, he finds a girl who's sweet, who doesn't really have she's a bartender, and that's why I think he showed so much interest,
Yeah.
because that doesn't
And she was
cover
honest.
up,
Yeah.
and that too, and that doesn't cover up his status.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that's just kind of how it goes too. It's like he was just like, I'm marrying this woman because I feel like I'm supposed to. She's an actress, I'm an actor. It's kind of like that. But like like you said, he never went for someone who had like a genuine connection. But like
Yeah.
you just never know. Like it seemed like all of his wives is just it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
But like the wives were the only ones tangoing.
Yeah.
That's just how I saw it. But no, I like it. But yeah, I mean, like, why don't we talked about like pretty much all the main parts. I mean, the orgy, this was one question I had. So,
Go for it.
do you feel like it was really necessary for it to zoom in on like all the sexual
The sex?
activity? Yeah.
I think it was just like you said. We were talking about this earlier. It was just trying to be a little bit too edgy.
Yeah.
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 No, I feel that. I absolutely agree with that. I think it was supposed to be edgy and this and make you feel uncomfortable in a good way, but it made me feel uncomfortable in a bad way. Like that
Yeah.
really wasn't necessary. Okay, if you have a sex scene between like two main characters, yeah, that's important. But like just seeing a bunch of background sex,
Yeah.
is that really necessary?
Yeah.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't.
I felt like it was very unnecessary.
Like it adds to the chaos.
But
It adds to the environment of Hollywood. Because do I think that was going on in the 20s in Hollywood? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But zooming in on it and causing unnecessary attention to it, is that necessary? No, because I feel like in the 1920s in Hollywood, there wasn't attention caused to it.
Yeah.
Sure, that could have been the norm. Okay, then it's
Yeah.
the norm. Why are we zooming in on it? Why are we focusing on it when
Yeah.
that was just happening in the background?
And it was kind of like the same thing with the elephant just taking a massive shit
Yeah.
like all over the dude.
Yeah.
And and then the girl pissing all over that guy. I
Oh
have
my God,
something-
I forgot about that.
have
That made me feel so weird.
I have something to say about that
yeah.
later, actually. Do you know what I'm talking about? Talking about that later?
The girl pissing.
Yeah. So I'll explain that. I have it written down. But it was that, the elephant, the snake. A lot of it felt unnecessary and just like, you'll see what I mean with Boogie Nights. Like Boogie Nights, do you feel like Boogie Nights kind of did the sex part better without
100%.
making it seem more like relevant to the story?
Well, I think in
'Cause-
Boogie Nights, sex was relevant to the story.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I would argue maybe it is relevant for Babylon too.
Yeah. Well, no. What's your take on that? Did you feel like it was? You felt like it was relevant?
I mean, with Nellie Leroy, she was obviously seen as like a sex symbol,
Yeah.
and in her movies, I mean,
Yeah.
True.
it was kind of seen
The
as
characters she plays are very sexual.
yeah.
Yeah. True. You see that when she's like in that little stage.
Yeah.
Area. It was. I guess it was trying to show the era, but it could have done it in a less edgy way.
Yeah.
Because
Most
apparently
definitely.
it was like everyone was. There
Which,
were
like,
orgies everywhere.
Yeah, which I don't mind orgies, but like as long as we're not focusing on them, because
Yeah.
was that really the focus of this movie? It wasn't.
It was more of a
It
shock value.
absolutely wasn't. Okay, if that's happening in the background, yeah, that happens in the background of Hollywood all the time. But like that's not what we're focusing on. Whereas Boogie
Yeah.
Nights, you were.
Could have had a How the Grinch Stole Christmas effect where it just shows them dropping their keys in the fishbowl
Yeah.
type thing. It could have done, or just like, like I said, even if it's just a room full and it's just like alluded to. I really felt like I connected to the movie when it was like in its boring part.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that.
Did you feel that?
I did not connect to the movie at all when it was crazy orgies and little people running around and stuff like that. Like I didn't connect to it at all. But when it was just a character and another character going through whatever they're going through,
Yeah.
that's when I most connected to it.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that would be one of the reasons why it's not doing so well in the box office.
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really have this audience connection.
Yeah. And that's true. Okay, so here's my, I will say like my last thing to say before we want to really start getting to the end. But so you and I, we're in the industry.
Yeah.
We see it, we see like, it, especially in this modern era.
Mhm.
But Gavin, like, correct me if I'm wrong, you've never been on a film set.
Okay, I have been on a film set. I was an extra in one movie,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah.
You have to tell me more about that
Okay.
later, at least later. But in fact, I may even know. But did you understand a good bit of this? Because a lot of it felt like it was very relevant to
I mean,
myself.
as someone who isn't in the industry, I mean, I could understand it,
Okay.
but I mean, it did feel like a message to Hollywood.
The people who are
Mhm.
really invested into it.
Yeah.
Because that was a problem that it seems like once upon a time in Hollywood had.
But even as like not even working, it's just working in the film industry.
Right.
It feels like you're kind of just looking into the industry.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's because, like I was going to say, like, I feel like that's just the problem that once upon a time in Hollywood had is because it only alluded to, certain people. Like the
Yeah.
people, like, the reason I appreciated it is because it reminded me of, like, all the John Wayne movies, all of, like,
Okay.
the old movies from the 50s,
Mhm.
60s, and just, like, how the country itself was changing,
Mhm.
how the industry started to change, and, the stardom started to change, stuff
Yeah.
like that, and what was all going on. Yeah, but this also had the same thing, whereas everyone else, like, I didn't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because I didn't get it. It didn't hit me
Mhm.
emotionally the same way. I was like, well, that's it. It just
Yeah.
hits, depends on how it hits you.
And that's what I was gonna say about this movie in particular. Where I felt it most is things that I related with within the industry,
Yeah.
which I mentioned before, the demystifying of it, the reality of it. And that's where I really felt so, like, for example, the other scene we're talking about where they kept having takes.
Yeah.
They kept having to do this and that. And,
Yeah.
like, that's where it really hit me because
Same.
I've been through that. I've done that.
Yeah.
So that did make me wonder, people who aren't in the industry, how do they feel about this
Yeah.
movie? Because that's where it hit me the most, was the points that I have, experienced in real life within the industry. So that did make me wonder about people who've never been in the industry. Like, is it hitting them in the same way?
Yeah. But no, you mentioned it sparked another idea that I had
Mhm.
of that scene.
Yeah.
Of the soundstage scene where
Yeah.
sound's being introduced so finicky. They're still trying to understand it.
Mhm.
They have the boxes. I didn't know about
Those
that,
poor
which is
boxes.
crazy.
Yeah.
Now that,
How it could
Cannot
literally
imagine
pick up
having
like
no air
a
conditioning.
implant in someone's knee.
Yeah.
It's crazy
Yeah.
too.
which
That's
is insane.
insane.
Did y'all feel like that scene was too, I guess, contrived is like the word I'm trying to think of, like where it just like it's like, all right, okay, we get it. It's going over and over. We're getting tired of like something happening, and they're like, God, and like each it happening so much, and it's just like I felt like I was like, okay, I get it. You're starting to piss me off now.
I did get it.
I think that's
But
the
then
point.
again, that
Yeah.
comes back to what I was saying with experiencing in real life. Yes, you get it.
Yeah.
You get it by the first 2, 3 takes, you realize what's happening. But that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You go to 15 takes and 17 takes and 18 takes,
Yeah.
and that's where it just gets unbelievably just like insane at that point. And that's why it really hit me. Because yeah, I did get it by the first 2
Yeah.
takes. But it's the aggravation that all those other takes caused. And that's why I appreciated that scene.
Yeah.
So like, I like that they kept going. I do see
Mhm.
how other people
Yeah.
could get annoyed of it, but me personally being in the industry, it just made me so aggravated because that's really what happens.
Yeah.
We
It
get
really
it.
is.
We all understand, but that doesn't matter. It keeps going and going and going and going.
Yeah.
Especially whenever like the big wigs came in with all the money, like the people
Yeah.
who were like
Mm-hmm.
were on the board.
And it's all
came
up to
in. They
Nellie.
just overlaid a new level of stress
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like, to the people.
that's always scary too. When you
Yeah.
have higher ups come in and you're like, oh shit, that just adds even more pressure.
Yep.
Yeah, they're just like, we got to get this shit going. Like,
Yeah. And I was getting really annoyed, kind of like, okay, like I mentioned, I get it. But I felt like it was paid off really well. You really feel like the sense of relief whenever she nails it
Yeah.
in the very end. It was
Yeah.
just like, also well done.
Mhm.
Just, it was perfect. The way she just nailed it. And I did kind of feel like, okay, I felt like they didn't have to do as many takes,
No, they definitely
shown
did
in.
it.
But it really, I was like, did that enhance the feeling of relief? I can't tell. But
I think for me it did, but again, that's coming from someone who's experienced that in real
Yeah.
life. Now, me maybe being a person who's never experienced that, I probably would have been tired after the
Yeah.
third take.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah.
really just continuing to push it, like, it made my anxiety go up just
Yeah.
watching it.
Same.
So, I don't know. I think that depends on
think-
your personal life experiences and your preferences.
Yeah.
I think it was a lot more expensive to keep doing takes back then as well.
Yes.
That made me nervous
Especially
too.
on
I was
the,
thinking about that.
Frontier.
Especially and that the guy Jeff Garland that came in, he's the producer, and those are
Yeah.
the ones that are like, y'all need to do this in one.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like that.
Mm.
Well, why don't we like get to the end of
Get to
like
the
the
end?
move of
Wrap
the
it
movie,
up.
where I feel like it's really paid off. So we have Manny and Nellie who decide that they're gonna get married. You know,
Mhm.
they're about to run from the country because Nellie owes James.
Which pissed me off so much, but
Yeah.
continue.
Which I saw something in real life today. It would have been like almost $2 million. She owed like 85,000.
Mhm.
Today that would have been 2 million. But and causes Manny to go and try to get that. That's where you go into the underground and all the levels. We've talked about that. But then we see where Manny leaves Nellie. He's like gonna get her. She walks off
Mhm.
and just walks into the dark, and you know something's not good. It leaves just that little music, and then you have Manny and his friend, who I keep forgetting his name,
Oh
and
my
you have his
gosh.
roommate. I think
Yeah.
his name was like Keith or something like that.
Sounds like a roommate type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just in there. It's like very drug dealer
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
I felt a lot of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Like when they go in, it's like, what does Marcellus Wallace look like? You know,
Yeah.
that scene. That was my Samuel L. Jackson.
That was great.
Wait,
Pretty
thank
good.
you. I appreciate it. So that's gonna be a hard podcast when we do Pulp Fiction. I try to refrain from that. But anywho, so I just that was like such anxiety. And you see where like we talked about earlier, where like that scene felt very like almost like recycled from Pulp Fiction. There's a lot of
Mhm.
scenes, especially from Boogie Nights too, that felt
Yeah.
real recycled, almost shot for shot.
Yeah.
Everything's going bad. The suicide by Jack was real.
Which I expected that. Like, was not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I figured. I
Yeah.
figured. Way before all that even started, I figured.
Especially when he's sitting down.
Yeah.
He's drinking like what actually looks just like this.
Yep.
He's drinking like apple juice basically. But and you, like once that starts happening and he starts walking up, you're like, "What's the biggest tip anyone's ever gotten you?" You know,
Mhm.
and then that's where you're like,
You just
"Okay, this
know,
is what's
yeah.
happening."
Yeah.
Everything's going downhill, just like Boogie Nights. But then Manny is spared by this guy. He's like, leave the country.
Which I was honestly surprised by that.
And
Me too.
that was one of my questions. Like, why did he spare him?
I think because he started pissing himself, honestly. I think that was the reason why.
Yeah,
He just
true.
felt bad for this man who was on his knees in front of him, literally pissing himself.
yeah.
Right.
But then
'Cause-
that made me bad that the roommate died and he didn't do shit. Like-
well, he did. We felt he was a little justified because he got them in that situation. He ultimately got them in that situation by giving.
But yeah, no,
the
that
play
dude.
money.
I'm talking about that dude's roommate.
Oh
who
yeah,
got
that guy.
shot. I
He was-
felt
he was
so
just
bad.
like-
he didn't
was
do
like,
anything.
Oh, that's what you
Right.
mean. But
Yeah.
no, like his friend got them in the
But
situation.
no, that actually pissed me off because before when they had said prop money, I originally thought they meant money to buy props.
Oh,
I thought that money
wasn't.
was real to buy props. No, it was prop
it was
Yeah.
fake.
money. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, you dumbass. Like, what are you thinking?
That's where.
Yeah.
That's why from now on, I'm never gonna be like, "How'd you do?" it?" Like, I've got my ways. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's prop money.
Mm.
But that, I felt like something was kind of coming, but I did not
Yeah.
expect it to be that big.
I literally just wanted Nellie. She was talking about, like, well, I have these houses and I have this, I have that. Sell one of your
Yeah.
houses.
That's all you got to do, really.
Sell your car, sell one of your houses,
what I
and
was
then you
thinking
got
the
the
whole
money.
time as
Like the
well.
whole time I was
Yeah.
thinking that, I'm like, you.
Like she has
dumb-
possessions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel
Yeah.
like Manny's a little bit of a simp too.
Oh yeah, most
That too.
definitely,
Yeah.
most
That too.
definitely. Who wouldn't be a simp for
He
Margot
just
Robbie?
tried-
Hello.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I wouldn't simp.
Mm,
for
okay,
Mark-
okay,
no.
okay.
Not I said.
Stop the cap.
Okay.
Yeah, stop the cap. But no, but like, it leads all this, and you're following this anxiety And then I love how it cuts to Manny coming back. They did a really oddly good job with making him look like what, like 15, 20 years older.
Yeah, no, they did great with that.
They did
Yeah.
For
great.
sure. I loved seeing the flashback of him from the very beginning,
Yeah,
and then him now. Like, it was perfect.
it was.
But continue. You were saying.
But no, like all they did was like recede his hairline and
Yeah.
stuff. It was perfect and gave him a few like a little aging. You know, kudos to makeup, hair
Which
and makeup.
I would like to point that out with in the movie. Once he does become this producer hotshot, you do start seeing more lines on his face.
Yeah,
It's like bigger
has
bags.
more of circles.
And I really did appreciate
He's under a
that.
lot more stress.
Yeah, he's under a lot more stress.
And he's really trying to feel it.
What was the trumpet player?
Yes.
Sydney.
Oh my
Sydney.
God.
Yeah,
Sydney
no, he
Palmer.
was great.
Sidney Palmer?
Yeah.
We really have not touched
I
on him.
like how he did not stand for the
Yes.
Degradation.
degradation
There we go. That's the word.
of Hollywood.
Yeah.
No, I loved
like
how
how
he's like,
he-
I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Put down
Yeah.
his crown and just went to more of like a localized audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that
That was
spoke a
great.
lot.
Something that
did.
really, truly, he went back to like his roots, what really
Mm-hmm.
meant something to him. Not.
Yeah. He was in
Getting
it.
everything.
He was in it for the art.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It wasn't about the money.
It wasn't about the fame and the immortality like everyone else was.
Yeah.
He more had like a real
Yeah.
cause for his art.
Mhm.
Which I really loved. I really loved his character too.
Yeah. He had a
That
great
actor-
character.
No, he had a great character.
That actor did a really good job too. Let's see. Yeah, Giovanna Depo. Pretty sure that's how you say it. Or Depo.
I think
Giovanna Depo. Degradation.
Degradation.
You're good,
I
you're
can't- yeah. Degradation
whiskey
was
sour.
a big part of the whole movie. Like even with Brad Pitt's character, singing in the rain, like he didn't want to do that. It was degrading.
Yeah.
With Nellie and the in that meeting with all the rich people,
Yeah.
that was degrading
I
for her.
love that
Yes,
scene.
I-
I wrote that
scene.
down for my notable acting.
Yes.
I loved that.
That's where
scene.
she just did. She killed
She
it.
just loses it, and it's
Yeah.
great. She
Yeah.
loses it perfectly, which not a surprise by
Yeah.
Margot, but like, God, it was great.
It felt over the top in the best way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No, but like so I'm just excited to get to the part where it's showing like all these flashbacks for Manny.
Yeah, yeah.
So he
yeah.
comes back home back to California. He's
Mhm.
actually talking to that security guard, you
Yeah.
know, and like it shows that he's out of touch with the industry and not watching
Mhm.
movies anymore.
Yeah.
And like that security guard wasn't like, "No, I don't care, get out of here." He was more like, "Oh wait, really? You actually worked here?" He's like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And like the security guard doesn't know how big he
How
actually
big
was.
he actually was. Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved that.
It shows that can just be taken away from you like
So
that.
easily. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed watching that little connection.
Mhm.
And then he was like, "You know what? I haven't seen a movie. I need to go." And he goes to watch Singing in the Rain.
Which I love how it's only 50 cents to get.
Oh, if it was
Nowadays, it's
only like that.
$13.
Yeah, we pay like $12 to
Bro,
go watch it.
Y'all
Yeah.
would never have to hear me say, "Oh, I haven't seen that," ever again.
Yeah.
I would have seen everything.
movie.
Same. Yeah. 50 cents. Oh,
Sure,
that-
come on.
That, like I want to say like Coke bottles were like 5 cents a piece
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Hey, except for Tuesdays.
Dude,
Oh.
$5
Okay,
Tuesdays.
$5 Tuesdays.
$5
$5
Tuesdays.
Go to the movies on
Cinemark.
Tuesday.
Oh, wait, that's
it's
Come
only
okay.
on.
$5.
That's true, that's
Everywhere.
That's the only time
Wait,
I've ever
that's
seen
true.
movies this year has been on $5 Tuesdays, straight up.
You
I
have
go
to-
on $5 Tuesdays.
I'm gonna have to keep that in mind
Yeah.
from now on, huh? But no, I love the scene where the chaos slows down. It
Mhm.
comes to like a screeching halt, and it just
Which
shows.
that's like a breath. You're finally able to breathe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really pay attention to the story.
No, you're right. Like you're
Yeah.
really able to like, okay, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Kinda like I think we're able to stop.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just does those cool like crowd shots,
Yeah.
like where it goes over the railing, goes down. Cinematography, we'll talk about that in the
Yeah.
categories. But that was one of those moments where I was like, that is so cool. Their use of like cinematography,
Mhm.
but also Diego Calva. We'll get into
He did
him.
great.
We'll get into him in a second, but his use of emotion within his face
Mhm.
just carried that scene
Because
perfectly.
a lot of the times, the emotional scenes you see with his character, he doesn't say much.
Yeah,
You see it all within his face.
he's observing.
Yeah.
That's all he is.
And that's all because he's such a calculated person. That's what he does. He
Yeah.
observes and calculates. So to see him just staring at things and to be able to figure out what he's thinking,
Yeah.
like that almost gives you a break from the chaos because you actually have to sit and think instead of just being overwhelmed with all this
Yeah.
stuff. You really have to figure out what this person is going through, and that's why you make such a deep connection with him.
Yes. No, I love that he's able to, you're watching that change, the transition. It's kind of like they're getting a break
Yeah.
from watching him observe to now he's displaying almost his thought. Like he displays his thoughts. You're like, but at the same time, you're still like, what is he thinking? You're
With
staring.
Manny?
Yeah. In the
Okay.
end. Sounds like you have something
And
up your sleeve.
I loved seeing his little teary eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, he was crying in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But then as soon as you see he's singing in the rain, he starts smiling, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's because he realizes, like I was saying, that his work is eternal.
Yeah.
Provides like the progression
For sure.
Yeah. And then,
of Hollywood and movies.
yeah.
And even like with the audience shot, you get to see the audience.
True.
I guess that shows like people will always enjoy these movies no
Yeah.
matter what, even throughout time.
I like the use of the audience too,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it first comes in on like a young girl,
Mhm.
and then she's kind of like sitting there. She's like, okay, still has time, and then it shows this older man. It's kind of like he's reminiscing. He's like, oh, that's how love feels,
Yeah.
and like the girl's
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, I guess that's how love is going to feel.
Yeah.
And then it shows a couple making out.
Making out. Yeah, I was
You
gonna
know?
mention that. Yeah.
And so it's like that's what it does to people, and then it shows
It
just
shows
more
you
people,
just all walks of
angles.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that, and it just
And
Yeah.
I loved when he first came in the story about it was basically his life
Mhm.
with Margot Robbie. Like it was the girl trying to talk with long vowels instead of the New Jersey accent.
Yeah.
You know?
Put a little
And
French
like
into
and
it.
it did
Yeah.
it made him like smile and laugh, and I love to see that because like it was such this big stressor in his life, but now he can just smile about it
Yeah.
and laugh about it and reminisce about it. And even though she's no longer in acting, her persona, her character still lives on.
yeah,
And that's another like eternity thing that we see. Like he sees that these people are living on because that was basically his story, and now there's like a movie about it.
he left a
So
legacy.
I really loved that.
Yeah, and now he's almost a little bit of like a nobody,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
he's still
He
left
fades
such-
into obscurity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, you're okay.
Man,
Mr.
okay.
Mr. Theologian, theologian. That's actually the word. But no, he just that was funny. I'm still thinking about it. But no, he left such an impact, and he, like you said, he just paid into obscurity, and and so, but he's also reminiscing and all those things. He's feeling all these emotions. It's like he went through all this tragedy, and he went through all these hardships and all these things that like made him him, and like now he was happy, and like these are things that gave him like joy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was just trying to point out. It seemed like such tragedy then, but now he's watching it in this film, and it's like something to laugh about.
Yeah,
Like, yes, it must have been the end of the world then, but now it's just
yeah.
it's what it was.
Everything contributes,
Yeah.
but no,
And even in the shot where it shows like all the movies like progressing
Yeah.
until Avatar, you know.
Which I love
Yeah,
that they showed
I love-
Avatar.
yeah,
I did
freaking
like that.
loved it.
I did really
'Cause
like
I
that.
love the original Avatar. Like it's one of my favorite
That
movies.
that is a good one. But no, I that is like the shot. That was something where I was like, oh, so these, because like there was a lot of movies. I was like, I think that was from The Shining, or I think that was Clockwork Orange, and I think that was, I'm pretty sure that was Star Wars. And I think that, all
yeah,
those.
yeah.
But then like it shows Avatar, and you're like, oh, because that for me, that's where it happened. We're like, so this is showing that like even in the 20s, he left a legacy.
Yeah.
And then it starts going into this crazy, like just showing blank colors.
Yeah.
And I had something
And
else
then
to
and
show
then
that,
like the drops of colors and
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
stuff
was
like
a
that.
question I had.
Okay.
What was the paint in the water?
I don't know. I
I'm
think
not sure either. I
I
was a
know-
little confused because it showed movies, and
Yeah.
then just colors.
I know
like,
color
dropping
played
in.
a big part in this whole movie. Like whenever there were serious scenes, like whenever it was in reality to these actors and stuff, it would be shown in blue. Like Nellie
Yeah.
would wear a blue dress,
Yeah.
or
Or like a
like
blue
there would be blue
hue.
backgrounds. But whenever it was like time to party,
More like a red and gold.
orange, red.
Yeah, orange, red. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want to say like the colors. It's just like because it kept changing colors too. Like it would go through
Yeah.
different like
And
had, like,
green
3
meant
different-
something too. I'm not sure what green meant, but I think green was a
The
big.
green was a
Yeah.
big thing, especially during the ending scene. There was lots of green.
Yeah. I have something for that. Right. I'll explain right after. But no, I felt like to answer your question, I feel like the colors mixing was kind of showing like we're just blending. Everything's blending now.
Yeah.
We're just all art. We're trying to create art. It's because like it looked pretty and very artistic, but also had like to say like we're just blending works now, or like we as people are all coming together to just build something bigger than ourselves almost.
Yeah.
And
Which is one of Chad Conrad's, or whatever his name is.
Jack Conrad?
Jack Conrad.
it's one of his big things.
That's
yeah.
one of his big things is, being bigger
Yeah.
than this. Yeah.
That was my interpretation of it. But also I will say the colors. I was thinking like there were mainly I remember 3 colors if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
There was green, blue, and red.
Yeah.
And I felt like each of those colors represented the 3 main characters within the story. I feel like Jack was blue because he was more veteran. He was more it was more of a royal blue, and he was already at the top. Manny was
Green for sure.
because he was fresh, he
and he
was
was down to earth. He still wanted to do
Yeah.
what was right.
grounded,
And then obviously Marco was just,
Just
red,
red,
like
just-
crazy, burning
Sure.
hell
Yeah.
type.
I don't
yeah.
know. Do y'all see what I mean?
No,
though? Like, do y'all
absolutely.
agree?
No, I agree.
Even whenever he was firing, what's the Asian lady's name?
Junling.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jinling.
Faye.
Faye.
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever that scene, he was in turquoise, which is like
Yeah.
green blue.
Yeah,
So
Wow.
that's right.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive.
yeah.
I like it. I see Mr. Theologian over here. That's gonna be your nickname on the show, the Theologian. But no, I mean, that was it. I feel like this scene really collected the whole movie, the whole mess of a movie, and showed it that it had something. And I really
Yeah.
appreciated that.
I did.
So
The ending was great.
the ending was perfect, spot on.
Absolutely.
No, I that's what I was like. Okay, now I get it. Now I get it. Because I was not gonna lie, I was
lost.
I was
a little bit. I'm
lost,
like,
and I
where
was
is this
still, like-
going? Yeah.
I was kind of like, all right, I kind of want to get out of here, but I don't want at the same time because like I know something's gonna pay off. I felt like the ending really paid off.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now, and because the past few days I've just been thinking about the movie, like, oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's so much that we have not covered.
Oh, for sure.
There,
Because I
obviously.
always have to watch movies like a couple of
Yes,
times
yeah.
before I really get a grasp on it. So I'm sure there's things we missed.
Well, would you watch it? Are you gonna watch it again?
Probably.
Okay. What
When,
about you?
when I can watch it in
Maybe.
HD.
Okay, yeah, true. That's true.
It
Nah.
was, a love letter, a tragic tale,
Yeah,
and just
No, I would definitely watch
introspective.
it again.
yeah.
Because it was still
might work.
entertaining. At the bottom line, it was very entertaining.
Yeah,
There was lots of chaos, and
Yeah.
I didn't understand why they had certain parts in it, but at the bottom line, it was always entertaining.
it was definitely. It was
Yeah.
nonstop. I did feel really glued.
Yeah.
So I appreciated it. But no, I mean that's it for like the main discussion.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's left?
Yeah, we have some topics.
Nitpicks.
Yeah, I do have some tidbits on production, and I know
Go
Caedmon
for
does.
it. I don't. I
Um,
don't. So that's all y'all.
I have a few. This, I wanted to keep it short. Plus there's not a whole lot, out right now because it's a new
Okay.
movie.
Um,
Yeah, you start.
Okay, because I don't really have that much on cinematography. All I know is that Chazelle has been working on it for 15 years,
On the movie
Yeah.
itself.
but he thought it was too ambitious.
Yeah.
Um,
That was
he
actually
even
my
created
first-
the idea before La La Land,
Yeah.
which is
Really?
interesting.
true.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I have first. The details are Chazelle pitched the film to a producer in 2009. The producer thought it was too ambitious. He did, however, like the idea of relationship with music and suggested Chazelle try a musical. So that idea went to be La La Land.
Which I will say, I love the music of this film. I know that's
Oh,
one
yeah.
of our. I know that's
Oh,
one of
yeah.
our categories. The soundtrack.
Yeah.
I thought the
It's
soundtrack was
always
great.
Yeah.
stunning.
It would go into the 1920s jazz and then almost turn into like an
Had-
EDM almost.
Had like a
Yeah.
little bit of a beat.
like the bass, and I thought that was just
Especially in
perfect.
the underground scene.
Right. I thought that was perfect with including the underground scene and then combining the 1920s jazz to like today's Hollywood world, which is just
Yeah.
like you keep just
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And that was just perfect for the chaos.
Yeah.
I thought soundtrack was perfect for this movie.
I did like it wasn't too Baz Luhrmann,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
oh shoot, what's the movie with Leo and Toby and oh god,
I was about
the
to say
super
Shutter Island. That's not it.
the super popular one,
Great Gatsby.
Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
why did
there
I
we go.
forget
There
that?
we go.
Okay, y'all see where my head's at right now. Margot Robbie's let's see, Margot Robbie's starlet Nellie is inspired by Trouble Clara Bow, the original It girl who scandalized the United States about being open about her sexual desires. So we saw a lot of that, and we just touched on it a little bit. Jack Conrad's character is based off of John Gilbert, who struggled in the transition into talkies. This led to drinking problems and a heart attack at 38 in 1936. Gilbert's story inspired Singing in the Rain. So that's why that was one reason why they really wanted to use that. The overdose, okay, so this is what I was going to talk about earlier. The overdose scene, based off the real case of Roscoe Arbuckle and Virginia Rapez. Roscoe was an overweight comedian whose body weight ruptured Rapez's bladder, resulted in a fatal infection. I don't know why I'm laughing. I guess it's just too graphic.
It's not supposed. I don't think we're supposed to be
we're
laughing.
not supposed to be laughing.
We're just terrible people.
It's just like what? It's just like too graphic. I'm talking about this on my podcast my family will potentially hear. This resulted in a fatal infection. Between her injury and her death, Rapez accused him of rape to extort money from him. It's actually a really interesting story. I started reading about it. There's a lot, it's a lot of personal. I'm not going to get into who was right and who was wrong, because that would lead to a lot of
a whole another podcast.
Yeah, and then possibly, yeah. Anyway, that's it. What I have for production.
Yeah.
You're good?
I got everything
Do we
covered.
have any nitpicks?
Yeah. Do we want to start with hit picks?
Oh, hit picks. Sure. Start with hit picks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You want to start with Caedmon?
Covered pretty much everything.
I know
Yeah.
that's what I was about to say. I don't have any hit picks to stand alone. I've already been through some.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Well, I have just mine. Just the grand scheme of the movie had a pretty impactful meaning behind filmmaking. I just feel like it really summarized. It really did a good job with kind of making you feel certain emotions when you were supposed to.
Yeah.
I feel like, there could have been, as we discussed, times where it could have done a little better, a little more trimmed the fat, so to say. But do you have any, did you find any?
Hit picks?
Yeah.
Hit picks?
Hit picks. Do you have like a
I
takeaway?
think just the themes of out with the old and with the new, as well as detachment of self.
Yeah.
I really
think the
like
themes,
those.
and then the end. I honestly did not feel any just wowness until the very end.
Yeah.
Until that very last scene when he is emotional, when he is watching all that's happening and how he almost progressed to that, That was just my hit pick. It's just towards the end, how all of this leads up to where we are now.
It all made sense in the end. Yeah. No, I love those. Nitpicks.
Nitpicks. I just think it didn't have a very cohesive narrative.
Yeah.
And that's what I
was
was about
long,
to say. I stated that in the
and
morning.
it was just
In
choppy.
the morning.
Yeah.
To be honest. I mean, just things happen so randomly, it felt like.
Yeah.
It was just hard to follow.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's what I was about to say. I stated that. Just said in the morning. Earlier, when we started filming this, I stated that it was too long. It was just choppy, and those are my general nitpicks.
Yeah. No, that's what I was gonna say. It was too messy. So let me read it off. It was too messy, and you're trying to keep track with too many characters. That was one thing we didn't talk about.
There was a lot of characters. We focused on the main ones, but there was a lot.
There were
of
too
characters.
many. I feel like that we were trying to follow, which I feel like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did a little better. Just like it was. This was too big. I feel like it should have been a little more simple, and the pacing was too fast to focus and keep track. Everything was just like cut, cut, just like going here, going there, going everywhere. Just felt like it was too all over the place.
Yeah.
The cultural impact. Do y'all feel like it left any cultural impact?
I mean, yes, but also not like a new one. We've seen this cultural impact before. We've experienced this before, and it's the demystifying of Hollywood,
Yeah.
the darkness of Hollywood. We all know that. We've
Yeah.
learned that before from other movies. I think it's simply just adding on to that.
I like it.
Yeah. I think this ties into what you just said. I don't think it had a cultural impact, but it showed a cultural impact.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good. Yeah.
There you go. It's not a new one, but it contributes to one that's already there.
It
Yeah.
kind of showed light on a little bit of what's already there.
it showed
For
how
sure.
movies have made like the impossible possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It showed like progression of everything.
The legacy that it leaves.
Yeah, which is huge in our culture. I mean, movies.
Yeah.
No, it's the new
We wouldn't have this
storytelling.
podcast if movies
If it
weren't a
wasn't for
cultural impact.
movies. Yeah.
Amen to that. But no, I'll drink to that. But I will say, I wrote down. I feel like it's too early to see like any impact that it left. Like
Yeah,
certain
for
classics
sure.
do.
We need to wait.
And I've heard people talk like this movie will be talked about in 10 years. Blah blah. Well, I mean, we'll see.
It may be like a new like college study maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
It may be like the film school study. Later it's just like Whiplash has become.
Yes.
Because I was about to say, for me, who's in film school now, like, we study a lot of recent movies. Like, there's movies made in 2020,
Yeah.
2018, 2019. So who knows? This might
Yeah.
become one of them.
You'll probably wind up having to
My
watch
most
Whiplash.
recent one that we've studied was Parasite.
Parasite. Okay.
That was like,
Parasite's
what,
such a good movie.
2021?
That's one I still have
Such
to
a
watch.
good movie. Yeah,
You haven't
You
watched
need to watch it, bro.
I know.
Bro,
I know.
it's so good.
I know.
So
I know. It's been on my list.
I watched it recently too. I was putting it off. But
Yeah.
It was
it's
good.
So good.
There's. I just watched.
For sure.
Never mind. I'm not gonna share that those
And
details.
I just like to say, I aced that essay, y'all.
I'm so proud of you.
And that professor was really hard. I wrote that essay with my heart, and I aced it, and I think I blew him away, and I'm so proud of myself.
Well, I'm proud.
But we'll move on.
We're proud of you.
Thank you.
We're proud of
Thank you.
But no, like I was gonna say, like it's too early to see now, but I feel like it will show a new appreciation for old
Mhm.
films,
Absolutely.
specifically within our generation.
Yeah, I think so too.
I feel like specifically for people our age, I like to think like I kind of grew up with, I'm not gonna try to sound like I'm talking out of my ass here, but I grew up watching Singing in the Rain and
Mhm.
Anchors Away, all those, and I've kind of have like an appreciation already there,
Mhm.
but I feel like this is going to amplify and kind of be more widespread
Yeah, for sure.
for certain things. People are going because I haven't really seen anything from the 30s other than Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
that I know of. I'm not off the top of my head at least,
Yeah.
but now I kind of feel like an urge to go back and watch things from maybe the 20s and like watch some silent films.
Yeah. And
For sure.
I don't know if you want me to get into this, but we
Go
might
for
be
it.
starting a mini series on the Academy Awards, Best
Yes.
Pictures, throughout the years, and doing just little
that
videos
is
on that.
that is definitely in the talks on like each year. So we'll stay tuned for that. So yeah, a little sneak peek. I like it. But no, that was my my cultural impact. I had a few questions needing answers
Let's hear it.
coming within the podcast, so I didn't write them
Mhm.
down. So like I'm trying to like remember some of them, but like but no, like would Manny and Nellie have been a good couple? Would they? I know he would have put in all the effort for
Yeah.
relationship. Would
Obviously.
she have? Stuff like
That
that.
was basically my question that I needed. Like, what happened to her?
Yeah,
Why'd she just walk off? Which that made me so aggravated. Like, he told you to stay in the car.
yeah.
Why didn't you stay
I
in
do
the
know.
car?
I do know a girl that's kind of like that though. Actually,
But that was
think we
basically
all
my
do.
questions. Like,
Yeah.
why did you walk off? What would have happened? Would y'all would have had a family? That's basically it for me.
Yeah.
But you were saying,
no, like that's just pretty much it. Trying to think of like the other one that I had because I had like two more I can't think of. But no, Caden, did you have any? Did you have like one for like questions needing answers, like within the story?
I think I asked all of my questions actually.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
I like it. So, Claire, you didn't have any more?
It was just that leaves us to next is notable acting performances, which I've mentioned some before.
Which is gonna be pretty stacked. I mean, I think I'll just open up with like everyone
Yeah,
did,
no, everyone did great.
played their part.
Phenomenal.
Everyone
yeah.
played their part so well.
Yeah.
Like we've seen this Margot Robbie character so
Yeah.
many times.
We've seen it multiple
Wolf
times.
of Wall
She
Street.
does it so well.
But
It's so
it's
refreshing
great.
every time.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't get tiring. Even though she's played this character before, it's still something new.
Yeah.
And you can still appreciate it every single
Exactly.
time.
Yeah. No,
Even
like,
with Manny, I heard that he had to learn like a little bit of English
yeah,
better
Really?
before he actually started shooting this.
that's
Which is impressive.
that's another thing that like is a whole other discussion that I was kind of saving for this. I want to say I needed to look it up a little more, but I want to say this is one of his first ever acting roles, and I was
You're lying.
So the podcast I was listening to yesterday is a director's commentary. Damien Chazelle.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he went through thousands or like hundreds of headshots
Mm-hmm.
and landed on this one because like there was something about his face, which I will agree on. Like he does have like a very like just a human looking face,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like almost everyone does, but like you can see a lot of like potential.
Yeah.
But like you see a lot of yourself in his face.
Yeah.
I feel
You
that.
know?
Yeah, for sure.
There was just like a lot, and like, but like the way if this legitimately is like his first role, I don't know how he executed the final scene so well with just using his face, just the
Yeah.
use of his face,
Yeah.
phenomenal. And like, I will say, Damien Chazelle is such a strong director with invoking a lot of emotion and thoughts, and within like all the actors that he has, and he has so many big people. Brad Pitt just did phenomenal.
We
like,
love Brad.
Who
Who doesn't
Hey,
love
that's my
Brad?
man crush.
You too?
Yeah.
Isn't
Sweet.
it everyone's?
Yeah, it's I'd like to say Braddy Pitt,
Oh yeah.
as in daddy.
It's daddy,
Yeah, that's
for sure.
daddy. But no, he does so well. He like you can tell where Damien at some points is just like, look, I know you're good. Just do what you do. And Brad was like, all right, so I'll just do it, and just does what he does best. Like that's how I felt. Like even like some of the like background people like just did
Mhm.
phenomenal. Like all these small characters
They
just
all did great.
were phenomenal.
Yeah.
And our three main people, and the guy that played Sidney Palmer,
He was phenomenal.
and then the girl Faye.
Okay. Yeah, she was great too.
Lee Jen Lee. Lee Jen Lee. She did phenomenal.
Let me just
Jean
say,
Smart.
She was hot.
Yeah. She did really good,
Yeah.
especially with like that song. That was another thing I was going to talk about. The song at the very beginning.
Pussy.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
like, bro.
that was actually like a popular like type of music back then
Really?
too. I've heard a few of that like type of music. It's like
is it
really
on,
vulgar. Like
is it on Spotify?
Really?
I mean, sure you could find it on Spotify.
Okay, say less. But no, like I just felt like the acting in this was phenomenal.
No, it was great. Yeah, for notable acting, I have Margot Robbie, and obviously, and for me, the scene that really made me decide that was when she did go crazy and when she was with all the fancy people and whatnot, and she
Oh
just
my
lost
God.
it and
Yeah.
just started gobbling shit. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that just got me. Like, it did. Like, she killed it.
yeah.
And then I also have Tobey Maguire just
So
because he
yeah.
made me feel so uncomfortable. Like, he made me feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But in the best way.
Yeah.
Like, he did it perfectly to where I was like, ew, Toby.
Yeah.
Even though I love Toby. Like, I
Yeah.
love him.
Yeah.
stepping on favorite quotes like, I have a movie idea for you.
Yeah, he was
It's that awkward laugh.
Yes, the laugh.
Yes.
That was my
It's
favorite part was his
phenomenal.
laugh. It was great.
I loved his character.
God, he was great.
Well, Caedmon, like what do you have on notable acting performances?
I know I wrote down Margot Robbie.
Margot
'Cause
Robbie.
I've said this
Margot Mommy.
earlier.
Margot just always kills it.
Yeah.
That's
We
that.
we have Braddy Pitt and Margot Mommy.
And
Margot
Margot
Mommy.
Mommy and Bradley
Yeah.
Pitt. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like, what did you think of what did you think of Manny, like Diego Calva?
No, Manny was
Like
great.
you said, like he just kind of relates to like all of us.
Yeah, he's our
Feels
eyes.
Like, yeah, he feels
our
like
eyes.
the eyes of the movie.
Yeah, he's our eyes specifically, like
Yeah.
into this world, like this magical world, which happens to be darker than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
And he did really good. Question, and like one of my last guests, Cody Scott, who did Jurassic World, suggested that like, kind of do like some sort of like, like an Oscars trophy. Like who in this movie would y'all give like an Oscar to? Like, is there anyone like I think
I'd have to give it to Chavez.
yeah.
I'd have to.
Like y'all, so like I think Margot's gonna win some sort of Oscar, best lead actress. I have a feeling because she just did so well. She's so charismatic.
She is.
Everyone loves her.
I think her best movie is I, Tonya.
I still need to watch that one actually. I worked with one of the actors from it.
Yeah.
I feel like Brad Pitt's gonna get like best supporting actor.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's a veteran for sure though.
Yeah, but like, it's just he really is. I mean, like he's just. But every movie,
Which
he's
is weird
cranking
because
out.
like the whole movie is about like how you fade,
Yeah,
but he hasn't.
he has. No, there's
He's
a lot.
Still relevant.
Which I was honestly thinking about that. I'm like, wait, is this Brad Pitt like talking about his like true life?
Yeah.
Is he like actually fading right now? Like I had to think about that for a second. It made me sad. I didn't want to think about it.
Yeah,
but...
I feel like it's maybe him accepting he may. But I don't. I think.
Yeah.
I think.
I just think he's too sexy, bro.
we're the
Always.
Bradissants,
Yeah.
the Bradissants. But no, Diego Calva. I
yeah.
can't wait to see more of him.
Me too.
He did
Especially within
great.
this role.
He just did phenomenal.
Within roles like this.
Yeah, like Margaret stood out. Toby stood out. But it's honestly the characters that don't stand out that takes the most work.
Yeah.
It's easier to play a character who's crazy
Mm-hmm.
or a character who has all these weird and different ideas and lives underground. That gives you something to work off of. But a character who's just good at heart, that's honestly harder
That's the
to
hardest.
play.
Yeah.
And the fact that he played that so well
Made it so
is what is
relatable.
so mesmerizing and relatable.
I know that's very true too. It's
Yeah.
like you're able to. It seems like character acting is a little easier to do.
It is. Like Margot, she did great, obviously.
Yeah, she's not
But
playing
when
herself.
you're given
obviously.
this crazy person, it's easy to be crazy.
You have to thinking about the emotions a lot more.
To be normal, that's hard.
Yeah.
What the hell is normal?
without
no one knows
without
what
playing
normal
yourself
is.
too,
Right.
potentially. You just never
Without
know.
playing yourself, who knows what normal is? While trying to play someone normal and good, like no one knows what that is.
Yeah.
And he did that somehow,
He did perfect.
which is why that's just awesome.
I'm just excited to see more of him, honestly.
Yeah, I really am.
I agree.
All right, favorite quotes.
Okay, let's see.
All right, we're gonna let Claire start us off
Yeah.
because she seems excited. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Literally, all my quotes are by Margot.
They're all by Margot Mommy.
Yes. Okay, so we all know this one. Honey, you don't become a star. You either are one or you ain't one. I am.
That
That
That was
one is just killer.
I
because
love the impression by the way too. That was
I
phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
am.
All right, give it-
I am.
We're just gonna get the
So-
impression. I love it.
So that one I just loved because honestly, I've always felt that. Like I'm one of 6, y'all. I'm by means no like center of the spotlight, but I've always felt like I was a
yeah.
star. It doesn't mean if I'm famous or not. I'm just a star at
Yeah.
heart, and that's that. And so the fact that she said that, I love that.
I know. We can all relate a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Like stars are not made; they are born,
Yeah,
and that's
Exactly.
that. You're born a star, and that's that. And Margot was definitely born a star.
I love it.
I also I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's Conrad's wife talking about the theater and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And how that's fine art. And he's like, we're doing fine art too. And Margot comes in and says, "Party time, Sparklecocks." And it's so good. Party time, Sparklecocks.
Sparklecocks. I
That
love
might
that
be
line.
that might be one of my new
That's gonna
lines.
be that's gonna be my new
Yeah.
insult.
Gotta be.
Sparklecock.
Sparklecock.
I love that.
I love it. I have two more.
Two more.
There's
do the
one
impression.
time. There's one time where oh my gosh, Manny is speaking Spanish. It's at the very end when they're driving away, and he's speaking all the Spanish. And she just goes avocado randomly.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all caught that. But
I did catch that.
I caught that. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Okay. But
she
now I
just-
get it.
She just says avocado,
Avocado.
because he's ending all of his words in O, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she wants to say something in O. She says avocado.
That's
So
hilarious. I didn't even pick up on that.
It killed me.
I caught it, but I didn't pick up on it.
It killed me.
That's
I was
hilarious.
in my living room watching this, and I just started busting out laughing.
That's hilarious.
And then I love this one personally because my grandma used to always say, if you don't have anything nice to say about someone, say it in French. And Margot Robbie actually says, if you don't have anything interesting to say, when in doubt, say something in French. So I connected with that one a lot, and I thought that was so funny
That
because
is funny.
in the scene with all the fancy people, she just starts saying these random things in French, and someone who knows a little bit of French, like she's saying the stupidest things,
Yeah.
but no one knows. They think it's so interesting just because it's in French. So I just thought that was hilarious.
She did good too. She did a good French.
She did.
She did.
She
She knew how to do it.
So yeah, those are my 4 favorite quotes.
Those are your
Do y'all
4?
have anything to add?
Caedmon.
I don't have any quotes, unfortunately.
You don't have
No
any quotes?
quotes?
No.
All right, well, I'll do mine. I just have 2. And they just so happen 2 that really stood out to me. You know, like obviously you mentioned everything that Nellie says.
Mhm.
Just
Nellie
everything's
just has
phenomenal.
Great lines.
She
Like
really
some
did.
pitches really just take you for a second. You're like, wait, what'd she just say?
She really did have great
Okay.
lines, but I just also a lot of stuff that Brad Pitt says in all of his movies stick
No,
out to me.
Brad Pitt has some great lines too.
2 of them, and then Mom, if you're listening, cover your ears for one of them. But I like where he's talking to George, and George he's like, which one? He was like, Claire. He's like, well, Claire's a lesbian. That's an uphill battle for anyone. You know.
I did like that line. That was a good line.
I love that line. And then the next one is whenever he calls Manny, and Manny's at the studio kind of rushing. He's like, Jack. He's like, I'm proud of you. Really, I'm proud of you.
Mm.
And then like you hear something like when I heard it, I was like, that's gonna be like a quote.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
it
proud
was-
of you, really.
It was,
Proud
but it
of
was,
you.
but the quote is actually show them fat fucks how it's done.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I remember him saying
And
that.
I
That's good.
love that line. It was just it was
It was a
perfect.
good line.
Almost
Almost as good as Sparkle Cox.
Sparkle-
but, you know,
almost.
whatever.
Hey, Sparkle Cox takes the cake.
It does take the cake. It really does. In fact, Brad Pitt should have used that because of her. That would have been awesome. All right, next category is cinematography.
All right.
That's
That's all you guys, because you know my situation with watching the movie.
here. So do you have one?
Um,
So yeah, I can do it, but like, it's just the classic Chazelle style, especially from La La Land. We see a lot of similarities, and done by Linus Sandgren. He did La La Land, No Time to Die, First Man. He actually did Don't Look Up too. One of his
Which
most.
I liked Don't Look Up.
Yeah,
I think that was good.
It had some interesting narrative.
Yeah.
But no, like I liked the style. Like I like the style, especially like those crowd shots.
Mm-hmm.
Just very beautiful. All the frames and the use
Yeah.
of colors.
For sure.
The lighting,
Mhm.
just kind of like I want to say it's called a whip pan.
Mhm.
Where it's just like it's almost like it's just like it's going between character and character
Yeah.
like really fast, but it's
Yeah.
not like a cut.
Mhm.
It's just a whip. I'm pretty sure it's called a whip pan. And what like I don't know, just the use of it.
Yeah, no, I can
the
get
storytelling was
that.
really well done.
My image of the movie wasn't all that clear,
It's,
but
yeah.
it's all good.
I can agree with that from the shots of crazy orgies and elephants and people dancing to just 2 characters interacting intimately. It was really nice.
hmm
From the
Yeah.
chaos to this intimacy.
Yeah,
You see that throughout the entire movie. You see just crazy, crazy people and then real feeling all of a sudden.
yeah,
And that's why I think we also talked about how it was so choppy, yet then again, it's also nice.
it's trying to.
Because it mixes things up a bit.
Yeah, that's true. It
Yeah.
does, and it kind of
There's
establishes.
like an up and down to
It
it.
establishes the emotions of it.
Yeah.
I like it. Cayman?
I guess with cinematography, I found that like It's a movie about shooting movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I found that ironic. I just like the way it was done.
I do
Yeah.
love the way that they went from, our current way of filming with the colors, and then you would see the black and white
Yeah, a
and the
little-
old, gritty cinematography.
Yeah.
I do love the way they did that. I love the way they
Yeah.
incorporated it. It puts you in that time, really, which helps us relate more to the story.
Yeah.
I mean, if they wouldn't have done that, I probably wouldn't have liked the movie as much. I
True.
probably wouldn't have related to as much. So I think that's something really notable to talk about,
Wouldn't
the
have
way
sucked
they
you in.
included both.
Wouldn't have sucked you in the same way
Yeah.
that it did.
Because
No,
I
I agree.
that one scene of Margot Robbie with her one tear going down in
Yeah.
the black and white with it all gritty.
When it showed that again, and
Yeah.
it showed 2 tears.
yeah,
I
it
was like,
was
I feel like
touching.
that says something.
It was, and it made me feel something.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess a little fun fact. She can actually do that, in real life.
Wait,
Like-
really?
The
yeah,
two
she,
tears.
she can control which tear comes out of which eye, and she said it's because she used to doing soap operas and stuff like that, so she can
Really?
control
That's
oh,
crazy.
you want it in left eye this time or right eye, 2 tears, 1 tear.
That's
That's
pretty
insane.
impressive.
I could not do that.
That's
That's like
very
the one
impressive.
problem I have as an actress. I cannot be crying like that on point.
Yeah.
Like,
It would have to take me a
It's
little bit.
impressive.
Kind of like it did at first.
maybe put a red onion to my eyes, and then
Yeah.
maybe I'll got
Or like a
me,
little,
but-
I forget what they call it, like a little stick. They have some sort of
Mm.
stick. But score and soundtrack by Justin Hurwitz.
Phenomenal,
Perfect.
as always.
Phenomenal.
As always.
I want to say it won a Golden Globe,
Did it?
as it should have.
No, it was great. I
Yeah.
loved the soundtrack.
Because Justin Hurwitz did all of his other movies.
Mhm.
First Man, La La Land. Whiplash, because they were roommates, I want to say. Hurwitz and Chazelle.
Really?
I want to say they were
That's
roommates.
awesome.
You can hear some little hints. You can hear familiarity.
Yeah.
That was in La La Land.
No,
in
I've heard
this.
familiarity between this and La La Land
Yeah.
for sure.
You can hear the little dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
dun.
Even with Whiplash, I would say.
Yeah, that especially with the jazz style
Yeah.
Mhm.
too. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I thought it was phenomenal. Especially Hurwitz had something for Chazelle to work with real
Mhm.
well. The music was really incorporated. It almost felt like the movie was kind of built around the music.
Yeah.
For
Uh,
sure.
I would say it's a cornerstone.
Yeah,
Every one of his works.
big
I
time.
just love how I incorporated modern times versus that 1920s jazz.
Yeah,
It really brought both of them together, which is what this movie is about. It's based in the 1920s, but I mean, it also shows Hollywood today and how it's dark and how it demystifies things. So the fact that they found a way to brought 2020 and 1920s
1920.
in the same soundtrack
Yeah.
just was phenomenal.
Kind of blended together.
Phenomenal.
Same way, kind of a different way than Baz Luhrmann did
Mm.
with The Great Gatsby. I remember it at that time.
Yeah.
But no, I felt like the use of it
Little
was.
party
was
never
really
killed
awesome.
nobody.
I don't have anything for story rewrites or inserts. I just didn't focus in on it.
Yeah.
I would say just off the top of my head, just trim a lot of
Yeah,
the fat.
trim.
Yeah. Just more cohesive, less choppy.
Yeah, less choppy. A lot less.
And to be
Close-ups
honest,
of sex.
I think Brad Pitt did a great job, but I would have liked to see Leo as.
Yeah,
Leo
for
would've been
recasting.
fun,
For
but
recasting.
It would have
honestly,
been fun.
honestly, the fact that I already saw him in Great Gatsby, the fact that he's already been in a 1920s party scene,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was glad I got to see Brad
Yeah.
Pitt this
Yeah.
time because
Even with,
Leo's been there, done that.
Yeah.
You know,
Even with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's
Yeah.
the same story pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's true. He was in the same role then.
Yeah.
I would not have changed Brad Pitt with Leo.
I
Yeah.
think Brad Pitt was great.
I don't know. I feel like I'm not on the same train with Leo as everyone else is.
Really?
As much as I love
love
him as an
Leo, bro.
actor, I love him, but at the same time, I'm just a bigger Brad Pitt fan.
Really.
And
No, I think I'd much rather see Brad Pitt in this role as I would Leo.
yeah,
Because I know what I was saying before with the way that I expected his character to be. I would expect Leo to be that character that I thought that character was going to be.
Yeah.
Like Brad Pitt surprised me a little bit more,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
no, I know exactly what you
But
mean.
that's also because Leo has played those characters in the past.
Yeah,
Whereas I haven't seen Brad Pitt in this role as much. So it was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
It kept me interested.
I feel going off of what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Leo plays a little bit more of himself with a little bit of this character, whereas Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
I feel like he just changes his characters.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
kind of goes in like he's not playing his character from Seven or Troy. You know, he plays these more obscure characters, whereas
for sure.
Leo
I mean-
does more of himself.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
I mean, I wouldn't say
Really?
himself. But
I think
will
Leo
say,
is a phenomenal actor.
I
No,
love
Leo's
anything.
for sure phenomenal. Just, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. Y'all know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That would be cool to see Leo play a little more of a. He does more
A
some down to
sensitive
earth.
role.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
does some
more down to
earth.
earth.
I just feel like Brad Pitt did that a little better than what I feel like
Brad
Leo
Pitt
would've.
just really, really surprised
he
me.
nailed it.
He
Yeah.
nailed it,
I think
and
so
I
too,
really
yeah.
appreciated that.
But you just don't feel like Leo would have. You know,
No, I think they would have
think
both
Leo
done
could have
great.
done it.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
Leo could have done it for sure.
But
I
I'm
think it
just
would have
so
been
used to
interesting. I don't think
seeing
it
Leo.
deserves a recasting.
yeah,
I think Brad Pitt was great.
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
think
Brad
so.
Pitt was
Yeah.
great.
Especially when we touched on this earlier with Emma Stone playing Nellie.
Yeah.
I don't touch it. It's
Margot's.
Margot's role.
That's
For
Margot's
real.
role for
It's
sure.
Margot's role.
Yeah.
She just definitely played more of the junkie drug, like her role just felt like a drug,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and like you're
Ecstasy
watching
in
her and
itself.
she's like, okay, you're the embodiment of cocaine,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Basically.
So that's just how I felt with
Yeah.
Margot. But no, like I don't touch the casting. I loved Diego Calva,
Great.
and
He was
phenomenal. So yeah, so no, that's it. I mean, just don't touch the casting.
Mm.
But that's it, guys. We did Babylon. I hope the podcast wasn't as messy as the movie was. You know,
I think we
just a little
delved
bit.
deep into
we did.
Babylon.
We did.
We
did a
did.
great job.
Certainly wasn't as long, so I'll give us that
Yeah.
much. But no, thank you, Claire. Thank you,
I'm
Caedmon.
so happy to be
Of course.
back. I'm gonna be back for more.
You definitely are.
Me as
Caedmon,
well.
I hope you're back,
Me as well.
buddy.
He definitely will be. Both could not have done it with two better guests.
There you
Y'all were more, I would say, more of co-hosts.
go.
Y'all did phenomenal. But no, thank you again for joining. Thank you everyone for listening or watching. You can do either both. Email us at mailbag@bowtiemovielounge.com. Make sure to follow our Instagram for just different updates, stuff like that. But could not have thanked you all more for, first off, you two for joining, as I've already said, but thank you all for watching and listening. Catch you next time, Bowtie Movie Lounge. Yes.